We're live, Jane. Good morning. Oh, bless you. The face
So full of cold. It's ridiculous.
Face says it all this morning. Good morning and welcome to Natasha Makes, where poor Jane has a stinking cold, bless her. But she's here to show you a much admired and much requested item. This has been lurking a little bit.
Yes.
Around the set. And people keep saying, what is that? And when will it be on? And the answer is today.
Ta-da!
Yeah. So our stack and whack table runner and today are the answer to those questions.
Yes.
Yes. Good stuff.
We've called it a runner, haven't we? Because we said you might want to put it on your table. You might want to make it a bit bigger and put it on the end of your bed.
You might.
Or wherever you wish to have it hanging.
You might indeed. Before we talk about the project though, Jane, I'm just going to make sure that we can be seen and heard because, you know, that's always useful when we're not just talking to ourselves.
Yes,
Although
which we do a lot.
We do. We're very happy in each other's company.
Chuntering away. Yeah. The general say, are you talking to me or are you just chuntering? I'm like, I'm chuntering, just I'll be fine.
We happily and merrily ignore each other a lot, don't we?
Yes.
Where I'll say, Jane, unless you raise your voice to a certain pitch and change tone, I'm just going to ignore you. She says, no, that's fine. That's fine. So, yes, if you can let us know that you can see and hear us, that would be absolutely marvellous. We have many things to show today.
We've got some gorgeous things.
We do, because we've done the original table runner. No, the original runner. Because like you say, it could be a bed runner.
Yeah.
We've done that. We've also got a new colourway.
Yes.
Which we're very excited about, which you're going to demonstrate.
Yes.
We've got the half metre heavens, and then we're in a bolt end session.
Yes.
Natasha's busy chopping and weighing and measuring right now.
She's going through the racks like a crazy lady.
She is, because we don't need to be carrying and lifting all of this to our new premises.
Not when there's like 3 metres or less on a bolt. No. It's like,
definitely not.
What's the point?
Oh, here we go. Brit 2014 UK. Morning, everyone, over on YouTube. Well, there we go.
Good morning.
Good morning. Nice to have you with us. Here we go. Our Facebookers are here too. Jimmy says, good morning, everyone. Pat Adams says, good morning to all. Karen Hughes, she says, good morning, girls. I can see and hear you just fine.
Lovely. Good morning, Karen.
Good to see you. Good morning, Gemma and Jane. Yes, coming through loud and clear. Your mum's on. Morning, girls.
Mum.
Morning, Kate. Claire Everett's with us as well. And then people are saying good morning to each other.
Which is lovely. That's nice, yes.
Jane, first and foremost then, bolt ends. We've got 3 there, although I know at least one has already gone because I saw it fly out the minute I loaded it up pretty much.
Not surprised.
So we'll show these, but just bear in mind that if you keep checking back to today's collection throughout the day, you will see new ones appear because Natasha is busily cutting, weighing, and SJ's busy loading. So this one, I think, is one. This one's gone, but we'll let everyone have a little peep anyway.
It's a bit gorgeous.
Just in case anyone's having a look.
Look at this. This is
bought it
Nautilus.
Thinking, what have I got?
By Philip Jacobs. It's gorgeous. And if you love a Fibonacci scale, you'll love these. Because of course it's a shell.
This fabric, Jane, I chopped a 3 metre length off it and I chopped the rest up into some half metre heaven length. So if you're looking at it thinking, I love that fabric, and it's gone, it has gone, but you'll see in a moment we may well have a skiddly diddly bit paired with some beautiful plains available at midnight tonight. Not much.
No.
But just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So if you bought that 3 metre bolt end, there it is. Well done you, it's beautiful.
That would look stunning on the back of a quilt.
Yeah.
Equally, you could make a few beach bags with that.
Quite. And that's what I'm thinking about these half metre heavens, you know. That would be a beach bag perfection, wouldn't it?
Yes, lining and everything, beautiful. All there, ready to go.
So well done you if you got that one. The next 2 are Dina designs. Now perhaps you're looking at these, everybody, and you're thinking, I've not shopped with you before. Where on earth do I find these? You just need to go to natashamakes.com. You can either click the Watch Live page or you can look at those scrolling banners and click the Workshop Wednesday page. Scroll down and you'll see the products that are on today's show, including our bolt end sale.
This is Dina Designs. We love this collection.
We do. Sundara Oasis.
Sundara Oasis. This is Yasmina. Look at this. There's just little details in it that you don't see and you probably aren't picking up on camera either. But the little birds, tiny little rosebuds and things. It's just a beautiful, and the opportunity for fabric placement, fussy cutting on this is just lovely. But equally on the back of a project would be stunning. In fact, it's too nice really to put on the back.
Yeah.
You'd have to have a double-sided quilt that occasionally you turned it round so you could see the back of it.
I do like a flashy back to my quilts though, Jane, because especially if you've got a quilt that's near the window,
Yes.
it can fade, can't it? So
Well,
I fold my quilts with the patchwork side in
Yes.
and the backing facing out. And so most of the time, actually, when I'm not using them, a lot of what you see is the back of my quilts. And this would just be great for that.
Yes. Now, that one that I just showed you is imaginatively called Orange, Sandara Yasmina
Yeah.
Orange,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
And this one is exactly the same pattern, and it is
So different in this
looks so
colour, though.
different. It's so delicate and pretty, and that is
The orchid.
Yasmina Orchid.
That's a bigger piece, that one, Jane. The other one was 1.6 metres. This one's
2.4.
2.4. A really nice size for backing your projects.
It's so pretty.
Although it'd be
I think
lovely
I'd
for all
like to make a
sorts of things.
tablecloth with that,
Yeah,
actually.
really
It's just nice. It would make a nice blind as well, wouldn't it? Actually,
Really
That's
beautiful,
lovely, really
actually.
pretty in a bathroom window or something like that. Nice.
nice. Perfect.
Yes, I've just designed a downstairs loo that I don't have.
It'll be fine, Jane. Just when you get that house you don't intend to buy.
Exactly.
Because you're quite settled where you are, thank you very
Yes, I
much.
do live in my little house. Right.
Oh, Jane.
There's going to be more. There's going to be more.
Definitely going to be more, so keep your eyes peeled, like we say. And when
Natasha's
you see them,
she's like, I was going to say like a whirling dervish, but she's not, because she's just like, she's like dove into the shelves and gone, right, this can go, this can go, this can go, and we're like, okay.
so she's systematically working her way through. Now the bolt ends were born, it's Jane's fault. The bolt ends were born
Lazy.
when we had small amounts of fabric left on a bolt, and it wasn't enough for a show, and it was kind of, this is just in the way now, especially when new fabrics arrived. And Jane, bless her, because she's so, I don't know how to put this politely, Jane, but you are quite particular, shall we say, about where the fabrics go and in what order, and you like them in brand and then
Number.
She's got a very specific way.
It just helps when you're picking them off the order sheet.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
So when fabrics get put away, we daren't. That's a Jane job, or a Jane telling someone where she wants everything job. That's generally how it's always gone. So
I tend to do most of the cutting, and I think that's how that's come about. And I'm bossy.
well,
I'll admit it. Hands up,
here.
I am bossy.
It's all fine. We just know what we're doing, and
Yes.
that's all right. So when Jane was trying to put away new collections and there wasn't enough space, she said, like, right, well, these there's not much on these. And then she'd start admiring them and stroking them and saying, oh, there's 3 metres on here. That's about the right size for me to back a quilt with. I shall buy that one. And she'd fold them up and make a pile and say, Gemma, can you add that to my list? And then we said, hang on a minute, if you want these pieces that are this size, then other people will as well. Because they go, well, actually, no, that'd be nice to back a quilt with for me. And
Yes.
we thought, this is silly. So that's where the bolt end sale come from. It's always at a great discount. You're getting around 25% off, sometimes more. Sometimes if it's a really premium fabric, a bit less. But come on now, there's still a good hefty discount on lovely big pieces.
If there's less than 3 metres on a bolt, there really isn't enough for us to do a project with, is there, and make a kit from. So it's it can hang around in the warehouse for a while. So for you to have it at a slight discount helps us.
Exactly. Now, some of the fabrics that Natasha will be bolt ending today haven't ever actually been available cut to order. They're perhaps fabrics that you'll have bought a ½ metre heaven of. She's working in the corner that gets forgotten. The area that fabrics go, and then we think, oh, we'll do that when we get time, and we just don't, do we?
Yeah, no.
So it may be that when you see these come up, you think, oh, wow, okay, that's not been on the website for sale, cut to order before. No, it probably hasn't, but it's just quicker for us to get these bolt ends out.
Yeah.
What's left over from when we've done our ½ metre heavens. ½ metre heavens, Jane.
Gorgeousness.
They're going live at midnight tonight.
Yes.
Okay, Jane's got a pile in front of her. Again, if you're new to us here, the bolt ends will be loading throughout the day. You can purchase those. The kits we're working with today, you can purchase those. The ½ metre heavens are the one thing you will not find on our website until midnight tonight. I smile because there are those of you who've twigged they go up about 1 minute to midnight, and get in there and pop them in your basket as fast as you can. I can't blame you.
Quite often there's limited numbers of them, so it is fastest fingers first.
It really is. Now, some of what's in front of Jane, in fact, quite a lot of what's in front of Jane, I've spotted them on the shelf where we've made half metre heavens. We haven't noticed that they've sold out. We've perhaps got a little bit more, and we're just putting our last of our stock through. So if you fall in love with these, chances are you're not going to see them again for a bit, or at all. Okay, because this will be the last of our stock. So I'll go overhead, Jane, we'll have a look at those.
This one Natasha showed you yesterday, I think, didn't she?
Yeah, this is a
This is a
brand
new fabric that's come in. It's an Andover fabric. Gemma, you'll have to remind me of the collection.
Called Avalon. Now, we were due to have Avalon arrive in May.
This is what happens.
Finally got here.
It never comes when it says it's going to.
So we had a specific project in mind for this and the floral as well that's come in. And it missed its slot really, which was a shame. We can't always get them when we want them. Jane, I feel like we need to go closer.
I think we do, because they are
on
little hummingbirds and they have got the most gorgeous detail on them.
Now, some of you know I've sort of taken up wanting to do a bit of art and a bit of watercolour painting and what have you, but look at these. The detail on them's lovely.
They're just really cute. Really cute. And lovely colours. Unusual colours.
Stunning. But
stunning. And this lovely sagey green, pale sagey green background that's got a linen-y texture to it. Obviously it's a print, it's not a linen, but it's got a linen effect running through it. It's really pretty, and we've put that with
sangria. Sangria, that one.
Sangria.
Yeah.
Which just picks up that little bit on his throat beautifully.
It does, doesn't it?
There we go.
Beautiful new fabric. This one here, Jane, we loaded before. It's sold out.
This is a Dina Designs, and I adore this fabric. Yes. I'm going to make sure it's the right way up. Yes.
You made a fabulous quilt kit with this one, Jane.
Yes, I did.
And if anyone bought that and then thought, oh, I wish I'd got a bit more of that fabric to make cushions or things to go with, here's your opportunity, because this is the last of this bolt now. That's Scarlet, which is a gorgeous, vibrant red, which may not be looking very vibrant on your screen, but it is. It's like what I would call, is that even English? It's what I would call primary red. There's all little, my mouth's not working. I wanted to call these ladybirds dragonflies then. There's all little ladybirds all dotted over this. This design is called Ladybird, and it's by Dina Designs, who you might have guessed we rather like. And this one's called Ladybird Garden. Fab, isn't it? Gorgeous. We are getting... We have only got a few of those. From all over the world. Hello from a wet and cold Victoria. Oh dear. Good morning from a rainy Texas. It's all going on. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. I didn't think it rained in Texas. No. I mean, it must sometimes, but seriously. I love the name of this one. Now, when this first came out and I was told the name, I said, oh, come on, pull the other one. What's it actually called? This is an Adrienne Laban fabric from the I'm going to have to open the whole thing out because it goes across the whole width of the fabric. So it's BioGeo2 and it's called Bio Banter, which I thought was great. And this colourway is called Cool. It is. We could have put any ombres slightly from yellow to green through to blues to a very royal blue, which is why we have put royal with it. We have. It could have gone with all sorts of things. It could have put anything with it, but it looks very adaptable one. Fabulous, all of it. This is the sort of fabric that you're going to want to make lots of things with because it's got lots of stuff going on it. I'm going to say something terrible now because it's almost criminal, Jane, but I do think it'd make great binding. Yes, it would actually, wouldn't it? Yeah. Having that running through. Yeah. Love it. You can make a bag. Can you imagine the bag if you've got the ombre bit at the bottom and then this black bit either side? Would look great. Look rather stunning. It would look brilliant. Very designer. Really nice. You could have fun as well with fabric markers colouring in. Oh, quite. Should you wish to. Absolutely. Oh, Sue yesterday was getting her router sorted. She's had all sorts of internet problems. She says, morning all. Not only have I got a new router, they've brought fibre optics to the house. I feel like a superwoman with all the power this morning. She sent me an email. Well, not me, but she sent an email to info@ to tell me this. And I was like, yes! Get in there, girl! I love that you tell us these things. This one, Jane.
I love this. I've got fishes.
This is our Stripy Fish by Philip Jacobs. It's his own, because he's part of the K Facet Collective, of course, but this is his own label.
Snow leopard.
And the collection was called Treasure Island. Jane, they were lovely fabrics.
Weren't they?
And
they didn't last very long.
We've got a tiny bit left in the bolt. We'd squirreled to one side, and it was... This sounds awful as well, but sometimes we do that. We have a bit left and we put it on the shelf and we kind of hide it a bit.
Yeah,
in the hope that we might just, go, oh, I'll have that
yeah.
one day. But I had a little delve in there last night and dragged it out.
I
Sorry.
can see fabulous swim bags made with this. Can you
Yes.
imagine going swimming and with your kit out of the bag that looks like
Or
that?
a kit bag if you've got a fisherman in your life.
Yes.
Maybe a little case for flies and things like that.
Yeah.
You could do all sorts with that. It's
Wonderful.
great, isn't it?
It's just good fun.
Yeah, big
Just
bags,
really good fun.
the whole shebang.
And that's with our cardinal, which again is a beautiful red, but slightly deeper than the scarlet, which is just spectacular. This one is Kelly May,
Yeah, Kelly May Krentz for Studio
Studio
KM.
Garden of Earthly Delights.
And this, that's the collection. This fabric,
Look at that.
this is your perfect shopping bag now.
Yes. Look
Or
at that
cushions.
spearmint.
Now I love the idea, Jane, of having cushions where you fussy cut yourself your detail and then just sash around.
Yeah,
Just imagine it. It'd be gorgeous, wouldn't it?
wouldn't it?
Perhaps do that little faux binding technique you did last week
Yes,
where you just top stitch
absolutely.
around.
Top stitch over the top.
That's great.
Gorgeous. Look at that. It's stunning.
Oh, morning to Helen, who's watching us for the first time live for a good old long while. We've not had you around, so nice to see you.
Gorgeous, that one.
Karen says, no sewing for me today. I'm making jewellery ready for this weekend's craft fair. Doesn't mean I can't buy Boltens though.
Well done,
quite.
Karen.
Look at this.
This is stunning. This is peony pergolas.
Yeah.
Pagodas.
Pagodas, yeah. Now this
Again, is
a
this
Corin
Dina?
Haig,
The
I
Corin
want to say.
Haig.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Corin
can't find the
Haig
label.
designed this
Yes,
one.
it is. Yes.
And it's gone with fuchsia, which is what we had it with before, and it disappeared in milliseconds. So I thought, let's give those that didn't have the chance
Yeah.
to buy it again. But I've also done a second colourway this time, just
Look
because
at
I
that.
want it.
That's with
Spearmint.
spearmint again. Look at that. That just.
I couldn't resist, Jane. I saw the spearmint next to it, and I thought, yeah, I need the second colourway because I want it.
Absolutely. So, buy both. You got a quilt.
Stunning, isn't it?
You can have a really lovely quilt. We've got some nice patterns that use just half metres or
Yeah, or 2 metres, yeah.
2 metres of fabric.
Absolutely.
So yeah, there's some gorgeous ideas.
Jimmy, they're all talking about drinking at this time of the morning. I mean, come on now. Jimmy says, I don't drink because I'm blind and it's no need to be a blind drunk.
I could
Jimmy.
imagine that could be quite good fun, actually, Jenny.
Oh dear. Karen's saying she loves Dina Designs fabric.
We do too,
4
Karen.
metres of that one fabric, Karen. Make a nice frock.
Look at this. This is another Philip Jacobs Snow Leopard Designs. This is a Peony Cascade.
This is the very last of this fabric. You can see it's looking a little bit wrinkly because it's got towards the end of the bolt. Just pop an iron over it, it'll be fine.
Well, yes. We've only got 4 of these.
Yeah.
So that's with our azalea. It just picks up this lovely pink that's running through there.
This is a half metre heaven that I loaded. It sold out instantly. I reloaded. It sold out instantly. I reloaded it again, and then it kind of fell off my radar, and I didn't realise we've got a few units left. So it had been archived, and yeah, that's your last chance to buy that one.
I think we've been
That's
selling it by the half metre
We had
because
the
it's been
littles, didn't we?
it's been popular.
But it's been hidden for a little while.
This is another one. This is an Anna Marie Horner, and this is gorgeous. This is Bright Eyes. This is called Cheering Section.
Yes.
And
Now,
this is in...
we had a bigger print similar to this, Jane, called Bossy Mini,
Yes.
which was a red, because they're
Poppies.
poppies, aren't they?
Yeah.
Which had red poppies on it. This came through, and I just fell in love with the colourway.
Now, we've put that with azalea.
Yes.
And then you had a little look, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you looked at the chambray.
Yeah.
And the chambray matches this little pale, almost mauvey colour
In the
in the petals. And look at the two colours together.
Well, there you
Oh
go.
my lord. Just love it. I was cutting this morning and I was like, nice one, Gemma.
Yeah, beautiful.
Gorgeous.
It's
Look at
lovely.
that.
So I do think that is a buy it and then get yourself some more plains situation as well.
Yeah.
And they're all available, you know.
Jade,
All the
our
plains to
jade
show
looks
you.
nice with this because
does
it just
Oh, with the
picks up
darker
this.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. But the plains are all there. You know, you can buy plains generally. And if ever you're not sure about a plain, pop it in your basket with whichever fabric you're buying. And then you can always put in the notes section of your order and say, ladies, can you check this is the best one? And we'll have a look. And if we think
Yeah,
there's
we
a better
hate
one,
doing that. We don't
it's
like that
the
job.
bane of our lives. We love it.
Ah.
So if we see something, we'll go, okay, yeah, we'll just tweak it slightly and we'll pop it through on the system so that you know what we've switched it to. Now this is a William Morris. We never had this as a half metre Heaven, Jane. We had it as a mega metre.
Yes.
So it's with terracotta. This is Natasha's choice that she's done back in the day. But it was only a
Rather
mega
stunning,
metre.
yeah.
And I thought, there's a bit left on a bolt. That needs to be a half metre Heaven, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It certainly does.
It's gorgeous. Love a bit of
Classic.
Morris.
Not a lot you can say, is there? It's
Nope.
just classic and beautiful. And yet the colourway has given it a real contemporary feel. It's lovely.
Yes. Beautiful, 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 beautiful.
Last but not least, we did promise there was a
There
little
we
bit of
go.
Nautilus.
Tartar,
A naughty bit of Nautilus.
5 of these.
Yeah.
And we've put it with sunshine. Because
And
we
again,
need some sunshine.
This one we did as a, I think it was a purse kit or something like that with the sunshine. And it was great. And everyone loved it.
It just
So half metre Heaven
Yeah.
seemed right.
makes it pop. It's lovely. It's lovely.
Fabulous.
Nice little beach bag with that.
Definitely. Jane, before you start, I'm going to give you a little moment just to sort of catch your breath. Ginny says, Dear Jane, you sound so, your porno sounds so bunged up.
I know,
It
it's
is.
terrible. I'm fed up of it now.
It's no fun at
I have
all.
had enough.
Oh, Karen thinks the stripy fish would also make great binding as well.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Where am I going to put these? Oh,
Definitely.
yeah.
That's all right. I'm going to let everyone see you trying to find where to put those, Jane. You're getting
Yeah.
yourself a
I'm
bit
going to
lost.
hang them on there.
Well,
Right.
Jimmy says this weekend I'm busy doing Island Quilts exhibition at Craft Alive. Have a fabulous
Ooh.
time. Would like to hear all about it. Leslie Freeman says, good morning. Wow, some of these are awesome. Midnight tonight, Leslie. Keep your eyes peeled.
Yes.
Karen says, oh, I can't choose. Just send them all. You'll have to be quick then, won't you? Tonight, midnight. Get on it before
Get
everyone
on
else
it.
buys them.
Yeah.
Jane, today's make then.
Yes.
Stack and whack.
Yes.
Tell us about that. How
It's
does that work?
um
What's that about?
I don't know how it
come
came
from?
about. I remember doing a workshop on it and thinking, oh wow, this is fantastic. Basically you have a fabric that you love, but you don't have a very big piece of it, and you think, well, I don't know what I'm going to do with this because I can't make a quilt with it. And this method, you put colours that you like with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we found it came about. This is one of Natasha's challenges to me. She said, we've got some of these Tilly Rose panels left.
Yeah.
What can we do with them? And I said,
That's the panel behind you over
yeah,
there.
this one here. This is Sylvia. It's beautiful. Look
Hello,
at it. It's
Sylvia.
got like lots of almost autumnal colours running through there. Beautiful leaves. Very pretty. But it's not a very big piece of fabric at the end of the day. I think Tilly designed it for you to embellish, make into a
did.
cushion front, something like that.
And we have them available as well. So if you did want to do that, we've
Yeah.
still got some separately for that purpose.
Beautiful, lovely colours, soft, almost like, you know, when you paint on wet paper and it just all, well, you know, because you're an artist. Love it. And so I had a look at the colours that are in here in the background. I'm going to open one of these panels out.
I'm going to go overhead so everyone can see your kit that you've got in
Well,
front of
carefully. And you can, and I'll go through the process of what my thinking was when I was thinking about the colours. So I wanted some fabrics. I didn't want to use plains because I sometimes think plains can come across as heavy and draw things
Okay.
down. And because this is quite a light design, you know, it's only a very subtle colour behind. As I say, it's
Sure.
like watercolour behind there. I looked at some of our blenders that we've got.
you. Nice.
And I like this yellow because it picked up the yellow there. And I like this pinky colour here, because it picks up this little pink there. And then there's a little bit of like tealy aqua colour there. And so we've got another one here that just worked beautifully with that. And then I was like, I like this colour here. This colour's really interesting. And this sort of beigey colour. Now, we hadn't got a blender. We've got some plains, but we hadn't got a blender. And we had some Boltens, if you remember. Mm-hmm. And there was this lovely, what's it called, Cosmic?
Yeah, this is Cosmic Clover in melon.
Look at that. It worked perfectly. Hi, babes. So that picked up all the colours in there. So I thought, well, that goes in nicely. Again, it's a nice blender. It just picks up, and there's a little bit of black in there, which just picks up the flowers and everything else. And then I like this green. Now, I wanted the green to be more of a focal point. So I thought, right, we'll use
really fresh, isn't it?
We'll use this. Everything. And again, it's a Macawa linen texture. So it's not a solid. No. It's got that little bit of pattern to it. She's come in, she's in her bed. She's wound herself round.
Pseudo dog Mabel.
Fast asleep.
She's on her Liberty blanket.
On her Liberty blanket. Yeah, not spoilt at all.
Tasha stuck her head in and she snuck past her.
She's like, let me get to my bed.
Come to lick my hand and then curled herself up in
So that's how I chose the fabrics to go with this panel. Now, the beauty of Stack and Whack is you can use as many fabrics as you like. And you can make your blocks any size you like. Your block is dictated by your piece of fabric. So my block, which I've chosen for this runner, was 12.5 because that was the biggest piece I could get out of the piece of fabric. I've got some left over, so I could make a cushion or two to go with it. Okay. So that was how that idea came about. And the thing about Stack and Whack is it lends itself quite ideally to the process of quilt as you go as well, which is a slightly different quilt as you go than the one that I've demonstrated previously when I've been putting quilts together. Mm-hmm. So that's going to be a nice thing that we can talk about later as well. So that's the panel that goes with that. We have got a couple of other panels from Tilly Rose.
We have.
We've got Dawn here, which is a beautiful poppy. And if you're thinking about maybe doing something for your window for remembrance, that would be ideal.
It really would.
You could just literally border that with a nice bit of red. If I get our cardinal, we've got a 1/2 metre piece of cardinal here. If you put our cardinal as a binding around that, and had a go at quilting it, maybe embellished it a little bit in the centre of the poppies, a few beads or something like that, quilted around the shapes, you'd have a lovely time. You're going to have to excuse me, I'm going to cough.
That's absolutely fine. Now, the way that she intends her panels be used is for them to be embellished, like Jane said, and it may be, actually, you fancy in which case, there is more than one book by Tilly Rose that we've got on the website. If you give your page a little refresh, I've just pulled those up near the top so that you can find them. Stitched Memories and Daydream Journals. They're absolutely beautiful books, but they give you a little bit of an idea of what textile artists like to do with this sort of panel. So, you know, it may be that you're going to add buttons, ribbons, that you're going to do some embroidery. You might want to get your paints out. You might want to get as a liquid I use that you can place on an area that will make it shiny and give it a 3D raised effect. There's all sorts of fun you can have with these, and they'll be great to use with the children, grandchildren, etc. But you can see her books are beautiful. So if you were lacking inspiration, just wanted a really beautiful coffee table book, to be honest, there's plenty here to sink your teeth into. So yeah, it's definitely, Jane, something worth.
Yeah, Tilly specialises. I think it's the wrong type of word really, but she specialises in taking vintage pieces of lace, buttons, and things, and embellishing her art with it, and giving a real sort of lovely textured effect. I'm going to cough again. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I don't think anyone does it better, to be honest. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, sorry.
Have you got some water, darling?
I have.
Good. Okay.
To apologise.
Because if not, we'll have to get that there, Natasha, running round like Mrs. Doyle with a tea trolley in the refreshments.
So that's the Dawn panel, which I think is lovely.
It is beautiful.
And as I
and
say,
like ideal for remembrance.
absolutely
Great.
looks lovely with a piece of our cardinal there. That came with the fish.
Jane Sue Langford says, is Auntie Jane going to Malvern? Do you know, Natasha and I
Not
were
the autumn one,
only
no.
talking yesterday about Malvern. I think that I might go. I think Natasha should go as well. I'm going to give her a little nudge again later. We'll have another conversation. I know that the spring one's supposed to be more of an event, isn't it?
It's just a little bit bigger, I think.
Bigger. Whereas I think autumn's smaller, so Tash and I
do sorry
might
about my
go.
coughing. I do
Oh,
apologise.
Jane, you're so lovely being here and doing your show anyway that I'm sure everyone will forgive you. Jane didn't want to let everyone down today by not doing the demo. She thought it was really important. She still did it. Jane, I've got a question from Leslie Freeman. She says, if she's lucky enough to get the pagodas in both colourways, would you be able to suggest or add a suitable pattern to her order? Again, pop a note on your order, Leslie, and Jane will happily suggest some for you, and we can always then amend your order and add a pattern in.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
For sure.
The vice versa quilt's a good one.
It is.
And then there's the Annie's quilt as well.
Yeah.
That's a good one for...
There's a good few actually now,
yeah,
isn't it?
there is.
Audrey Peacock says she's bought a panel to embellish, and it's lovely. It's a really nice winter's night project.
Yes.
Jane, this one's perfect for this time of year.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just beautiful. We've got lovely browns, rich browns going through there. Our chocolate plain would look gorgeous as a frame around this. It's a very deep chocolate brown.
Chop your blouse up and pop it there.
Yeah.
Great.
Or paprika or terracotta or even the hot tomato would look lovely with this.
Jane, we've got some beautiful premium felt sheets as well. And I think if you could trace off some of these leaves, just a few,
Yeah.
and then
Embellish
mark
them
them onto
at
your
the top.
felt, cut those, place them on and stitch the detail through
Yeah.
with embroidery detail. And
You could
allow
make
some
it a 3D
elements.
yeah,
Stunning.
absolutely. It'd be
Absolutely
gorgeous.
beautiful.
It would be
That's what Tilly
gorgeous.
intended for these. They're supposed to be a multimedia panel. Now what Jane's done with them today is a more traditional patchworking effect, and it's stunning, which is great because up until now we've only looked at them as a multimedia panel.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's a patterned fabric, and
Yeah.
it's not a very big piece, but it's something else that you can look at if you're not particularly... I don't want to say arty because that's not fair, because...
Artsy, with an S.
Yeah.
Works better.
You know, you can appreciate a piece of fabric that is beautifully designed, but sometimes, you know, you're not an embroiderer, you don't really know how to finish it off. So
You might be like Sylvia, you might hate the hand stitching.
Yeah.
You know, Jane's got an
you might not
alternative
have
order.
the hands to hand stitch anymore. You know, we're all getting a little bit older and our hands get a bit creaky and we can't always hand sew. So this is a nice way of incorporating a small piece, as I say, of your favourite fabric.
Yeah.
As you can see,
Well, it's the hero.
this
of the piece,
method,
isn't it? Yeah.
you get a piece of this fabric in all of the blocks.
Beautiful.
So it does work quite nicely. So with that in mind, we had a look at the Tilda
We did, and we couldn't resist.
because we've got a little bit more of the birds, sleepy birds.
There's some sweet
Because we only
birds
had
there.
one bolt of all the fabrics,
Yeah.
but the sleepy birds seems to have sort of
We've got
multiplied
plenty left
overnight. So we thought, well, let's incorporate that. And I wanted to say to you that, as I said, you can go fewer, more
Yes.
pieces. It's quite an improvised method.
Yeah.
My mouth's
So
not
with
working, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Previously, then what you've done is you've got your panel and then another 4 fat quarters, haven't you?
Yes.
So you've kept it as a 5 fat quarter effectively make.
Yes.
But it doesn't have to be 5 fat quarters.
No.
It can be 7. I mean, it could be 6. You like to work in odd numbers.
I
don't
do
you,
like
Jane?
working in odd numbers. I don't know why, I just do.
Well, within art, when you're taught,
yeah.
they always say to go in. You know, if you're painting a flower, for example, make sure you've got an odd number of petals.
Yes, it's
not an
very
even
rare
number.
in nature that it's
Yeah.
an even number.
So that's Jane's preference. Doesn't mean you can't do something in even numbers with this. You absolutely can. But Jane's chosen with this colourway to go 7 fat quarters.
Yeah.
Haven't you, Jane?
Because we've got the lovely sleepy birds, and then we chose 3 of the eucalyptus blenders.
4, I think, in the end. Look.
Oh yes, 4, can't
Yeah.
count.
That's all right.
that go beautifully with the fabrics. I've got this upside down. Why have I got it upside down?
I don't know. It's like
Suddenly feel
show
that I
people
have
the
to
other
show
side of the
you that
table.
other way of the camera. And then the other two of the floral fabrics that are from the same
Yes.
collection and colourway.
For those who are wondering, in case you're seeing these and thinking, oh, I really like those prints, this one is Winter Rose and this one's Autumn Bloom. So we have them in other colourways. I think they've sold out now within this colourway, but we have them in other colourways. You may still be able to just get a little bit of that fabric.
They're just gorgeous.
They're stunning, aren't they?
They are. And this is a bit of Tilda Solid.
It's my favourite Tilda Solid
And
ever.
it's just because it's Tilda,
Yeah.
the red
It's called
is the
Country
right red.
Jane.
Yes.
There's not another red in the world like that one.
No,
I
it's like a dusty colour.
Beautiful.
If you had to be maybe a little bit mean about it, you'd say it was like a faded red.
Yeah, I love it.
But it's gorgeous. It is like a country red.
Yeah.
It's like if you've painted your barn door red and then over the summer it's faded.
Yes.
So that's the red that we're going to use for the sashing. So let's get on.
No. Leslie says, thank you. I'm loving the auto cue this morning. So funny. What has Facebook said we're saying? Sorry,
I can't
everyone.
imagine with my voice the way it is.
Oh,
I can
crikey bobs.
only imagine what it's telling us we've said.
Oh dear. Oh, Karen's been buying some lime green Doc Martin type boots covered in stars.
Oh
Good
my
girl,
gosh,
because
that's
it's
so
almost Halloween.
fabulous.
They'll be comfy as well. I've just bought some green Doc Martin style boots as well. Hey, that's all right, isn't it?
Absolutely. Right,
Marvellous.
let's get on and make.
Yes, let's.
We've got the pattern. The first thing that you decide is how big you want your block to be. Now, as I've said in my pattern, we've gone with 12.5 because that is the maximum I could get out of that piece of fabric.
Okay.
With fat quarters, you want a square, so you know you could go as big as your square. You could make your fat quarter into a square if you wish to. The bigger your square,
Yeah.
the bigger your pieces of fabric, the more you're going to show off your fabric. So if you've only got a small piece of fabric, then you make small blocks. It's you know, it's as I say, it's quite an organic method.
You have consistency between all your pieces, so you'd want them all the same size, Jane.
Well, you go to the size of your smallest piece.
Yes.
So if you've got all fat quarters, they're all going to be pretty much the same size and you'll be fine. What I'm going to do with this one, I think, is I'm going to go 14.5 just because I can.
Why not? Why not? Jane, while you're cutting that, Cynthia, I'm going to let you take a breath. Cynthia says, greetings, sending healing vibes from across the miles. The cold I'm finally getting better from has held on now for 3 weeks. She says, I've done this method with a 10-inch pack of fabric, so a layer cake.
Yes, yeah, it
Not
works.
with your stained glass effect, though, of your joining strips. It almost looks like grout, and I like the effect.
Yes.
That's what she says.
I was going to say to you, you know, you don't have to put the sashing strip in between. You can just put your pieces back together.
Correct.
We'll talk about this in a moment. But I think if you've got fabrics that aren't maybe with the Tilda, because it's from the same collection,
Yes.
it will blend nicely. But sometimes if you've got fabrics that aren't from the same collection and the colour might just be a little bit,
Yeah.
having the sashing strip just blends it. So it's not so obvious when it's next to the other fabric.
Amazing.
So I am going to cut this at 14.5. Just lining those two cut edges up there. I'm going to place my ruler, the 1/2 inch mark on my ruler, which with my creative grid is all frosted ready for me to go.
It's good, isn't it?
On that 14 mark.
Love that.
You will need to have a very sharp new blade in your rotary cutter for this method, particularly if you're going to do more than 4 layers of fabric,
Okay.
because otherwise you're just not going to cut through all the layers. You're going to snag and it's going to cause you heartbreak.
There's a lot to be said for a brand new blade. I've
Oh,
got
it's very
frustrated.
satisfying.
Yeah, very frustrated in my time with things not going my way. But quite often, new blade or a new needle, depending on what it is that's annoying me at the time, can fix a multitude of problems.
Absolutely. So, the whole point of this is you cut up the squares
Okay.
of fabric. There is no pattern to it, i.e. you cut where you want to cut and you make the shapes that you want to make.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to make unusual shapes to give the effect. You could cut it into 5 strips if you wanted to. There's not really much point in doing that, but you could. You could do different width strips if that's how you felt. You know, we know what we like and how we like to do stuff. My first cut is generally a triangle. It doesn't have to be a right angle triangle. You don't want to cut too small, is what I'm saying, really, because don't forget you've got your seam allowance.
Yeah.
So you'll lose some of your fabric within that seam allowance. So do your first cut, depending on your square size, obviously, but do it quite a chunky one.
Okay.
Throw yourself the rotary cutter at you. Good job, it's
that.
closed.
Don't do that, Pat, no.
So you make that first cut. Just move that out of the way. Don't disturb the layers if you can help it.
Okay.
Then take your ruler and make a second cut. Now the idea is that you want the same amount of sections as you have pieces of fabric. So for the one that I did behind, I did 4 cuts because I wanted 5 sections because I had 5 pieces of fabric.
Do you want to show that?
So we've got 5 different pieces of fabric. So that's cut 1, cut 2, cut 3, cut 4.
Okay.
So for this one, we're going to need 6 cuts. Oh, Natasha's got a big bundle of beautifulness.
You just pop those
Shall
to
we-
the side there, Natasha, and we'll give those a wave around in a bit.
Look at these.
Oh.
Look.
I'm bolt ending.
Look
I'm going to
at
say
these.
those need to go right here, and then I'll just stroke them a little bit. when
You
we're
can
around
even
your
look.
head.
Quilt's backed in an
Ombre.
beauteousness.
Jane, this is where you're going to have to give me a wink and a nod if there's one you want. Like, we're both going to be rowing
Yeah,
over
we're like,
certain
that's
ones.
fine.
Oh no, this is awful. You and I normally load the bolt ends.
Yes.
So we can go, that one's for me,
Yes.
that one's for you.
SJ's doing it as we speak.
Yeah. Never mind.
25%
Your
off.
game. Right, so I've done my first cut.
You
I'm going to
have.
do 6 cuts for this one because I've got
Okay.
7 fabrics. So I want
Perfect.
7 sections.
Yes.
So, and it is very much improvision. Improvision? Is that a word?
I don't know, Jane.
Improvised.
It is now 'cause you said so.
So I might go this way on that one. Don't cut towards yourself.
No, it's your pet hate, Jane, isn't it?
Very carefully.
That and cutting
If you have...
without a ruler. No.
No, don't do that.
She has to watch Sewing Bee through her fingers. Gives you the wibblies, doesn't it, Jane?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I'm just thinking about size of pieces.
Okay. So this isn't a project where you're going to fussy cut, is it, Jane?
No.
No. If you want to fussy
You
cut...
might, if you've got a piece of fabric that you've got a pattern on,
Yep.
put that on the top
Yeah.
and then you can put your ruler wherever. But
Gotcha.
actually, it gives you quite a nice surprise, if you
Yes.
like, if you've got it all mixed in. Where are we now? 1, 2, 3, 4.
2 more to go, right?
Yeah.
7 pieces, 6 cuts. We got it.
Let's go. I think working at angles works better for you. You don't really want to have too many straight, you know, square pieces.
Jane Claire Roberts says, could you do this with long quarters as well? Do you need to start with the square?
No.
Okay.
You could have rectangles.
Yeah. But then you'll end up with rectangles.
You'll end up with rectangles,
Right.
yeah.
There we
Whatever
go.
size shape you start with,
Yep.
you will end up with that shape.
Gotcha.
If you've got long quarters,
Yeah.
they're 10 inches wide. If you want to make squares, you'll only get a 10-inch square. But you could make 2 piles,
Yeah.
make yourself 10 blocks.
Nice. And then you can start
Or
putting
even
those
4,
together as
actually,
well.
because if it's width of fabric, you get 4 10-inch squares from
So you
width
can
of
do a quilt
fabric.
this way, can't you?
Yeah.
You make your blocks and then you put
Yeah.
them where you want them. Okay.
And obviously, with my runner behind me, I got 5 blocks because I had 5 fabrics.
Yes.
With this one, we'll get 7 blocks because we've got 7 fabrics.
But had you made 10 blocks, you
I could have done it
we've had
again.
loads of fun with this.
Yeah. And the method, you see, you make your row and then you'll join your row together in the same method. So the quilt as you go method, so you can carry on. Right, so you've got block section 1. You leave that as it is. Section 2, we take the top layer and we put it at the bottom.
Jane, is this where we get friendly with our post-it notes / bits of paper in a quilt clip, just to know which is 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah.
You can do that. It doesn't matter at the end of the day if you can't remember which section was which, because as long as you keep it just doing the same thing. So I think this was section 2. I'm going to take 2 layers, put it behind. Section 3, 3 layers, 1, 2, 3, put them underneath. Section 4, 4 layers, put it underneath. 5 and 6, you can decide which one's going to be 5 and which one's going to be 6. 5 and then 6. And what happens is you will have one of each of your fabrics in each section.
Okay.
Keep it together like this, and then we'll start sewing it back together. Now, as I told you, as I said before, you don't have to put the sashing strip in. You could just sew that back together like that. Each block will be different, and we'll have a look at that in a moment. But if you're going to put the sashing strip in, what will happen is, because it's an inch, you cut your sashing strip at an inch, you're actually making it half an inch.
Right.
So the block stays the same size, because you're adding back in your seam allowance.
Gotcha.
If you don't add a seam allowance, this block, which we've cut at 14.5, will become
Shrink.
quite a lot smaller.
Yeah, it will.
Because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seam allowances going on there.
You come out with these things.
Sorry,
when
Gemma.
you say it, it sounds so obvious, and yet to me, I know it, and now I'm thinking, oh, of course, but you wouldn't necessarily.
Excuse me, I'm going to have
think
to blow my nose.
That's all right. Everyone just feels very sorry for you, Jane.
I know, I'm milking it. Have you noticed?
Yeah. I'll take you to the cafe and get you some soup again.
Oh
later.
dear.
It's all right.
We've been living on Jane's soup. It's been lovely.
Lovely Jane's soup.
Right, so we're going to sew it back together with a sashing strip. And we start backwards, if you like.
Okay.
So we're going to sew 6 and 7 together. I've got my strips here.
Marvellous.
I'm going to cut my salvage off the end of my strip. And again, this is quite improvised, the way you do this, in so much as you can try measuring it, but don't forget you're going to have funny angles and things like that. So it's quite a good idea to just place your strip on, make it a bit bigger than the actual piece that you're sewing it to.
Okay.
Because you've got to think about the angles and things. So just sort of cut it so that it fits along that piece. Now, at this point, it's very easy to forget where you are. So keep putting the piece back on. You'll get into a rhythm of it eventually, and you'll know exactly where you are. And we're going to place that piece on the top of there, and we're going to sew them together. Now, I'm going to bring this piece down slightly, but because I've got that point on there, just think about when you offset a piece, when you've got like a triangle or something and you've just got that little edge that's a 1/4 inch just overhanging. Don't worry too much, because what you can do is you can always square your block up at the end if it doesn't quite line up straight. Again, it's improvised quilting, patchwork, so nobody knows what size block you started out with, so it doesn't matter if you trim it down to a smaller size once you've got all your sashing strips in.
Okay.
As long as you get all of your blocks the same size. What am I doing? Dosed up on Natasha's coffee.
Oh no, you've not.
And paracetamol. So it's like anything could happen.
Well, We'll look forward to that, Jane.
I just,
We like an on the edge of your seat quilting session, don't we?
yeah, craziness. I got carried away and went one step too far there.
Well, this is
Which
why
was
we
ridiculous.
recommend that everybody watches the show
Yeah,
and
to see
sews
how not to do it.
It's all right, pet. We all have days where we're feeling rubbish. Everyone
Oh,
understands.
dear.
There's a lot of sympathy out there for you. Karen says she thinks that's the best thing about autumn is the soup. She's got celery soup in her soup maker for later.
Oh,
That sounds great.
we'll be round. We'll be
We
round.
will. It's a flipping long way, Wigan, unfortunately. But you know.
Well, it's a bit nearer for me.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. Vicky says she's only just joined. She'll have to watch this back. I know she was looking forward to this one. Vicky, you're going to love this technique, and I can't wait to see what you make.
Oh,
because
Vicky, you will have fun with
Yeah.
this.
She'll be hyper-focusing all over the shop. She'll have some form of PowerPoint presentation / spreadsheet organised to get it all planned out
Right.
within a moment, she will.
Let's get the first strip sewn onto the
That's
first
the
piece
one.
before we do anything else. My goodness me. I bet you were all going, what are you doing, Jane?
It's all right.
Sometimes it would be lovely if we could hear our viewers, wouldn't it? And they'd be like, what?
Shouting at the screen probably
Yeah,
for
going,
you.
Jane!
Oh, Diane Ilsley, Derbyshire Di, she says,
Yeah.
I'm a little late today. Babies are at the groomers. They're not happy as they shiver when it's cold.
Oh.
Snuggles this afternoon to get them warm. Do you know, Di, it's not very often I admit to not wanting to be at work because I love it here. However, if I could be anywhere else today, anywhere at all, it would be on my sofa, wrapped up in a blanket,
Absolutely.
with some soup, and with my babies.
I'm
having
going to
snuggles. I would be all over that right now. That is absolutely.
press
how I'd
that
like to
strip
spend my
now back and away from the section.
So you give them munches later because they'll deserve it, being as they'll have been shorn.
Thank you, Gemma.
It's all right, my sweet.
So pop that back on just to make sure you're still in the right place. And then, as I said, we're going to put the next piece on and we'll just remember your seam allowance. So that piece there, can you see the point of that triangle there?
Yeah.
Just 1/4 inch overhanging what will be the edge. But as I said, don't fret about it too much because you can always trim the block back once you've got it all sewn together if it's not quite come back into a square.
Don't fret about it, Jane, because actually fretting was what I did quite a bit when I started quilting. And you had words with me and you said, don't fret about it, it's just fabric.
Yes.
And you can unpick things. And then there's not life or death here. This is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes
I think it was my
we do that.
my quilting teacher, Barbara Cheney, that said to me, it's fabric, it doesn't have feelings. When I was worrying about, whether something looked right together or not.
There we go, Jane. Do you want the edges done as well?
It's fine because I'm going to trim those off.
Okay.
So I've got those two pieces together. I'm just going to trim the sashing strips level with the edge. I'm not going to worry too much about
That looks beautiful.
whether it measures correctly or not at this point, just so long as it's straight.
Just a smidgy bit off screen there, Jane. Just a smidgy bit.
Just come back in. There we go. Took that
Neat
under there.
up anyway, but yeah, you are a smidgy bit.
So those two are together. So the next one will be this section here goes on there. You can see how it's pretty much how you cut it really, because I cut that one and then the last cut was that. So you're sort of working backwards. You'll see, you'll try it and you'll think, hang on, can't get that piece back onto there without sewing this piece on first.
Quite.
So this piece now, we're going to sew the sashing strip onto that piece from there to there. And again,
Okay.
there's no sort of scientificness to it. You just cut a piece. You may find at one point that it wasn't long enough and you have to unpick it and cut another piece.
So Sue Langford just said, I can't believe how calm Jane is. I would have had a tantrum and thrown it at the window for the most satisfying thud I could manage. I'm going to be honest. I think a microphone and live broadcasting works wonders for a temper, doesn't it, Jane?
It does.
There would have been some
I
quite
have
stern
been the
words.
grumpiest troll the last few days. With
Oh,
this
wow.
stupid cold. I'm just so fed up of it now.
I
It's been
know.
like nearly a week and
The
I'm just
grumpiest
like,
troll. Wow.
I'm just like,
I mean, I'm not
I'm not a
contradicting
very,
you, am I?
no,
That's the thing.
poor Gemma, she said the patience of a saint.
It's all right.
I don't like being ill at the best of
No, I
times.
know.
And I'm not, to be fair, I don't get ill very often, thank
don't.
goodness. But I'm not a very good patient.
Thankfully for all of us.
I do tend to take myself off to bed when I'm not feeling well.
Yes.
Because I'm a great believer in sleep being the best healer.
It really is.
And I have slept a lot. On Sunday, Glenn said to me, "Are you getting out of bed?" And I was like, "No,
No.
staying here."
Not in the mood. Leave me alone.
And I think it was best for him, really, as well, if I did.
It was best for him. Wow. Oh, bless you. It's okay, Janie.
It was good.
It's all
I
right.
did sleep. That one was actually probably better because I've been pressing them in towards each other, but I think maybe on this occasion, this one probably better if
Fabric
it's pressed.
tells you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
The
towards
fabric
there.
tells you where it wants to go quite often. It ding dang does.
There we go. Just trim that level again. So we're back into that part there. I'm going to trim this edge here. I'm just making it straight. I'm not worried too much about whether it's, you know, accurately to the size. I'm just making sure I've got a straight line to sew against. So I'm going to put my strip on this one and then sew that piece to there.
Lovely.
This is quite a straight piece, so we can work along. And again, it's very much, can I just press this piece?
Yeah,
That's where the fold of the fabric is.
Oh no, I won't have that.
It's a very organic way of piecing, and actually it's quite a nice way of doing it. It sort of gives you some freedom. There's no, you know, make sure this fits that and that's got this off, you know. You can have good fun with it. Now, I don't know, you know, if you can imagine if you've got like a really jazzy child's print, you could make a great children's quilt with this. Lots of different fabrics. And the beauty of this method with the sashing in, you can use lots of pattern because, as I said, the sashing calms it. It just adds that little bit of space between more.
You've come in looking really confused. Natasha's just caught me and my sock had gone under my foot. So I'm standing on one leg pulling my sock up because I was safe, Tash. I wasn't on camera.
Oh, no. No, I'm looking confused because I don't know whether I've done the right thing in bolt ending one of these.
Oh no.
I know, because not the grey, you can have the grey,
Yeah.
but this was on the table.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh no, you can't. Oh, you can't. No, that needs to go with.
And that was bolt ending.
Oh my gosh, that could have been made for it.
I know, how did we never spot this?
I don't know.
I'm
I
really
don't
cross
know.
with myself.
Yeah.
They were not next to each other. That's why.
I
At no
know.
point have they been next to each other.
No.
We clearly need to do this more often and throw bolts around a bit.
So I've saved a
Oh.
little bit.
Okay.
That's why that's only 1.45 m.
Okay. Oh, it's fabulous, isn't it?
I know.
Oh dear.
Nice
Golly
little
gosh.
project with
So
that.
that is the
Sorry, Jane.
avocado, everybody. The ombre galaxy and avocado. I do love an uninterrupted demo, don't you? Eh?
Sorry. I just had to stroke it.
Well,
in.
sometimes it just, you know, it's got to be done. Just press.
I don't know. It's all chaos here today. Jane's ill.
Oh,
I'm
no.
standing on one leg. Tash keeps coming in with fabric. She's now eating aniseed balls. So if you can hear a rattling in a jar, that's what she's up to.
So we've got that piece, those, we've got 6, 7, 6 and 5 sewn together. We're now going to bring on that one there. Again, we'll just trim the edge on that, just to make it level. Maybe gone off camera again, I don't
Tiny
know.
bit. Yeah, you better
Just
now.
bring
There we
myself
go.
in.
Lovely.
Bring myself in. Just,
Oh, Claire Upton says, good morning, this is a great design. I like the sashing in between. I'm working and watching at the same time. Shh. She also says, get better soon, Jane.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, everyone, for your well wishes. She just didn't want to let you down today. So
just one of those things,
she
isn't
is
it?
a snuffly
Just-
Jane, but that's better than no Jane.
I don't think Natasha would have been very pleased with me if I'd have said, oh, you can do the demo. It's just like, what?
No, quite. with no prior warning.
And it's classic, isn't it? The thing with a cold is you actually feel pretty much okay, apart from the fact that your head's not working.
Yeah, and you're snuffly and you can't breathe properly. Jane, the annoying thing, and I said yesterday, wasn't it, is that when you've got a cold, it's just a cold. But actually it's hateful and you feel rubbish.
Yes.
And you're like, I haven't got anything really, that I can moan about. Because everyone's like, oh, it's only a cold. Oh, yeah, you try saying it's only a cold when you've had it for a while and you're fed up of it.
Yes.
Look at that.
It's coming together beautifully, isn't it?
Really beautifully. Hello, sleepy birds. Quiet, Jane, we won't want to wake them up.
Don't wake them up, no.
Don't wake them up. Look at that, lovely.
So we're back into this position now. Now we can do either or on here. We can do that one or we can do that one. Again, just, you'll start to see how it all goes together and you can work out which bit works best. Just when you come into the edges, just remember you've got seam allowance, so just give it a little bit extra, because when you turn it through, it's better to trim it off than to have too, not enough, because that's really frustrating.
Yeah, too much is better than not enough.
Absolutely.
Quite often the case, that.
Just give that a press back.
Of course.
Thank you. Disturbing you. You're
Ooh,
trying to get all the
multitasking.
bolt ends
Right.
getting on the website.
I'm tapping, I'm pressing, it's all going on.
Wonderful.
Lovely
So we've got that
multitasking
on
with you.
there. And we'll sew that piece on. Now I could, if I was really unsure about my placement of my fabric, there's nothing to stop me trimming the edge off before I put the next one on. That gives you're just following the line of the piece that you've just, the edge of the piece. There's no actual measurements going on here. We're going to sew that piece onto there, so we can line the straight edge up with that and work our way along.
I love
You can
this technique,
pin.
Jane. I can't wait to have a go at this.
You can pin and to hold your pieces onto your fabric, I'm very much a sort of like put it together and then hold it. But if you're more comfortable pinning, there's no reason why you can't pin. There's no, again, no rules.
Oh, look at that. I love all these eucalyptus with these fabrics, Jane. It just
They're
picks out
beautiful,
all
and they all,
the colours
and
in the
obviously
feature print.
they all go really nicely. Now you
Yeah.
can see that's offset a little bit there, but that's fine. We'll just trim the edge of that. As we said before, nobody really knows what the angle or what the size needs to be. Once you've got your quilt together, nobody's going to.
Something like this though as well. It's especially the case, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's meant to be.
This is all about
Abstract.
really having fun with your patchwork. It goes together remarkably quickly. And the quilters as you go method of quilting it, which we'll go into in a moment. I'm going to get 2 blocks together and then I'm going to do the quilt as you go, because we'll be here all day if we do the 7 blocks and then
Yeah, can you imagine?
this time tomorrow we'll be going, and then you put your binding on.
Plus I think Jane needs to go for a lie down. We can facilitate that, Jane. We're all
I
right.
think we're okay.
Excellent.
This is one of these patchwork designs that if you've got your ironing board quite a way away from your sewing machine, you get your exercise in.
You know.
Your step count will go up considerably because you'll be going backwards and forwards to your ironing board constantly.
Patchwork is your cardio, Jane.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You'll be going through your stash when you've finished seeing this demonstration. You'll be going through your stash and you'll be going, right, I've got this piece here, and I've got these colours that will go with it. This is when you can use fabric that doesn't necessarily belong in the same collection, and the colours are there. They might not be quite exact, that if you put them next to each other you might think, well, not like that. But if you've got a sashing strip that brings it all together, you know, a common colour that brings them all together, then you're going to, you know, you're going to be on a winner with this.
Jane, I really want to do it with this, actually.
Yeah.
I'm going to show everybody.
Can you imagine?
This here. Now, yesterday I put a bundle together of this fabric and the matching floral.
Yes.
So it was from the same collection. You had those and some of the colours within that.
Yeah.
Maybe some bumbleberries or, you know.
Yeah, because you've got all of this colour. There's a lilac in here. There's a lovely deep purpley blue. There's a yellow, the green, the cardinal. There's a pale pink in there as well. And what you could do is you could use the cardinal as your sachet.
Oh, the sangria,
Yeah, sorry.
Because they're all at different angles as well, and I just think they'd look great in each block.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
So we've got that one there, and we've got our last strip to put on, which will be this long one here, which will add that corner on.
Brilliant.
So just measuring that along there, comes to that edge. I'm going to cut that along, maybe just a little bit further down. Just going to give that strip a press, Gemma, because it's got the fold in. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone who's looking at that fabric then and thinking, hang on a minute, what did she say? There was a half-metre duo. I will give it a little tag and put it in today's collection. It's the
Natasha
Avalon.
did some beautiful duos yesterday with those fabrics.
It's the Avalon duo. These fabrics are available. Admittedly, not much left of the hummingbird now. They are available by the half-metre as well.
Yes, I can imagine that hummingbird was very popular because
Yes.
it is beautiful.
Of course.
Oops, I'll bring it out. So if we give that piece a bit of a press
Of
away.
course we can.
Lovely. And then we can put our final piece on there. We can add that corner
sashing
onto
fabric's
there,
perfect, Jane.
isn't it?
Just perfect.
I might just trim that so that I've got my angles, just to make sure that I am lined up. I don't want to have to trim off too much if I don't have to. So by just trimming the edge of the sashing, it just makes sure that my angles are going to match. So we'll put that onto there. We're going to have a bit hanging over either end, about 1/4 of an inch, might be more. And what you can do once you've got all of your squares sashed like this, you can measure them and you'll just work out which one of the 7 that you've made might be slightly smaller than all the rest, just because of fabric placement, seam allowance, all that sort of thing. Just trim the rest of the blocks so that they're the same size. It's very free movement, organic patchwork this is, so there's no, there's no seam matching, nothing like that, so it's quite good fun. I'll just press that.
So we do have the 2 fabric kits available today, but we also have the instructions in printed and digital format. So if you are an international viewer and you're thinking, I wish I could buy that. You can get the pattern. Pattern is there online straight away, instant digital download.
Fabulous. So that's the block. You can see that.
Beautiful.
I
Jane,
wonder
that's
if we
makes
just
such a nice cushion
move
as well.
that over there, and then I can put that so you can see how that's.
And how different those two blocks are going to look.
And you can see now we've moved that top layer, we've got the next block to go.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this next block, I'll do it quite as quickly as I can.
Yes.
And then we'll go into the quilt as you go method just so that we can get that.
Because it doesn't take you long to do, does it? It's just obviously with demonstrating.
Yes.
You take your time, don't you, to show everybody piece by piece. But
Yeah.
when you're putting these blocks together.
If you feel confident enough, you can piece this section at a time. So once you've made your first one, you could do all of this.
Oh, hang on.
Sorry.
It's all right. You're like a ninja, Jane.
I forget the camera's on me sometimes. You could piece all of those pairs together. You know, you once you've got your first one made and you know how it's going to look, you can work that through. At the moment, that looks like there's something wrong, but it's still, we've still got block 2's.
Yeah.
And then that first one's got the third section. I like to work through the layers like this, but it can, if you feel it might confuse you, there's nothing to stop you taking each block and putting them together separately so you can see where you're going with it. That section's come from there, so now we're going to put that one onto there. I'm going to trim the edge of my sashing just to make it easier for me to see where I'm going. Now you can see on this one I haven't made my sashing quite long enough. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but you can see that when I put that on the edge it's just come a little bit short. I'm not going to worry because it's less than 1/4 of an inch, so it'll disappear into the seam. So I'm not going to worry about that too much. But obviously if it's very much,
Yeah. If
there's a
get lost
big
in your seam
difference,
allowance, you're all right. But if not,
yeah, if it's going to be a big difference, you will come up against a problem. You'll end up with a hole in your block, which is not much fun.
it's not what you want at all, is it, Jane?
Absolutely not. We'll give that a press.
Of course.
I'll move the board back and then it won't. Don't want to warp it, even though these these pressing pads are brilliant.
Yeah, they are brilliant.
So we can put the next one on. Go from there to there. That's why it's always a good idea, maybe just to cut your sashing strip. Gosh, that's easy to say, isn't it? Slightly bigger, longer than you actually need, just to give you that variation that you'll need for your angles when you come to press it back and join the next piece on. Press up.
Okie dokie.
Thank you.
No problem.
Now trim it.
Yes, Karen said earlier, Jane, that we'd always be welcome for soup, but parking is in the oven as well.
Oh, oh my gosh, I can smell that from here.
Vicky says I know her well. I do. She will be planning. She'll be sat there. Her brain will be clunking away. She'll have something planned already.
Yeah. It's one of these techniques that once you've done it, you'll go back to it again and again. Because there's so many options, you're always going to have a different looking quilt every time you do it. You
I
know,
was also about to ask how you decide the order when you'd already then picked that up and said. So you answered her question without me having to read it out, which was great.
yeah,
Pat says she'd need to take a photo of every cut. due to short-term memory. That is absolutely fine. Quite honestly, if you take a photo of every cut and you know then what
If it helps you, whatever helps you. If you want to put, you can get pins with numbers on, put a sticky paper,
yeah, of course.
masking tape written on, whatever helps you to keep the order number, then, you know, do that. It's not, you know, whatever works for you, as they say, because, you know, we all work slightly differently, don't we? Different things help us in different ways, so...
Leslie Freeman says, I'm loving this method. Me too. Great. And Lo says, my fabric tells me it wants to be with someone else that will actually use it. Gosh, don't let your fabric tell anyone anything. They'd all say that.
Well, I don't know.
I get mine out and stroke it, though.
Yeah, I do.
It feels loved. It just doesn't necessarily realise its potential for a little while. But then there's that moment, isn't there, where something comes up and you go, oh, I've got just the thing. And you go to your stash and it's so satisfying.
It is. And the thing is, you may be watching this now and you might think, do you know, I've had this fat quarter that I've wanted to use for so long, but I didn't know what to do with it because I wanted to make the most of it. This is the sort of project that works for that.
Really
because
does.
you can make a small piece of fabric go a long way.
You really can.
Thank you.
There we go, you're very welcome. We've got lots of chat going on today, which is fabulous. Vicky says, Gemma, you know those fabric coasters I'm making for my mum? I'm thinking about a table runner. This might be glorious. Yeah, absolutely. This is the one, isn't it?
Yeah, go with it beautifully.
Great.
The thing is, you know, maybe not 2 fabrics, but 3 fabrics. If you've only got 3 fabrics, this method would work.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be beautiful. Sue Langford says she needs that bolt end. Move quickly.
It's just like, get in there and get it.
Vicky agrees it's stunning. Debbie says, I'm really enjoying today's show. Vicky says you can presumably do this with squares and rectangles too, like the paintings.
Yes, yeah. If you don't want to be organic and make different shapes, you can be quite angular with it.
Yeah.
And cut it up into different size pieces.
I can imagine it now. Getting everyone to visualise. Lo says a bottle of rum will help.
Yes.
Which means you're cold. Good,
absolutely.
What a top tip that is. I'm going to say it won't help you drive home.
No.
So we can't do that one until this evening.
So, nice, what is it, a whiskey mac? Hot toddy.
Absolutely. Everyone is racing for that bolt end. I think, it was so beautiful, it's gone. Pam's adding to the bottle of rum recommendation by saying after a couple of glasses you won't remember that you're ill.
This is true.
Which is great.
I'll just go to sleep.
Really helpful. Really, really helpful.
Ooh, more gorgeousness.
Parrot. Beautiful. Yeah, Karen says, I'm seeing a great Halloween quilt using this method. Lots of blacks and oranges. That would look grand, wouldn't it?
The thing is, you know, you can use black for your sashing strips because black works for, you know, pretty much with everything. And you get like that stained glass effect.
Or if you've got
reminds me a little bit of crazy paving.
It really does. But if you've got black in your fabrics predominantly, you could put a metallic in between, couldn't you? Or something contrast like a purple or an orange, something that's really Halloweeny. It would look great.
You get a really lovely effect.
Leslie Hudson says, I would never have thought that red sashing was a good choice, but it looks fabulous.
This is when sometimes you'll look at a fabric and there'll be a very small amount of the colour within the fabrics. There's a little bit of red in here. You can't see it because of the Natasha Makes logo. But this red here and the berries just picks up that red there.
Great, isn't it?
And it's the right red that matches this. And sometimes it's the contrast piece that you need.
Yeah. Yeah,
that is actually a big contrast. It's like the green that I used in the original sampler.
Yeah.
There is green in that fabric. It's not obvious, but I felt that green would be just the right, almost like a full stop really, between the fabrics, just to differentiate them.
Just bear in mind though, if you do have fabrics that you're purchasing and you think you know which is the right sashing, again, pop it in the basket, but pop a note on your order and say, Jane, can you check my sashing fabric? She will. She'll check it, and if she thinks there's something better, we'll switch it around. We can do that for you. That's
We're quite
not
happy
a
to do that.
at all.
I think we're all right with finger pressing, not Jen, but if you want to give it a press,
Give it a
that'd be
quick.
lovely.
There we go.
Thank you.
Di says, I'm loving this, Jane. It's like a big jigsaw. I hope you feel better soon. Plenty of homemade soup and homemade bread. Oh, yes, yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Can we just have a... Sorry. I know you're
It's
desperately
all
trying to
right.
get all these bolt ends on
it's all
for...
cool.
for our
SJ's
lovely
been working on it. I'm
customers.
just moving things around and stuff.
Cool.
Yeah, Claire's saying, I'm just thinking this would be a great for Christmas fabric. I might have to make a table runner for my mum. It's a great make, isn't it?
Yeah, it works with any fabric, and this is the beauty of it. It's a lovely, organic, improvisational way of working. There's no rules. There's no... Sometimes when you get a patchwork pattern, you're like, oh, all these measurements, all these bits to cut, all of this, and this is you're very much, you cut it as you want to cut it. So if you've got, you know, you could cut a shape out of the middle piece and have bits coming off the edge of it. Do you know what I mean? Like a ray type of effect.
Vicky's been wondering what to do with some hummingbird and hibiscus fabrics that she bought, and she's thinking this might be a good option.
Yeah.
I think I know which one she means. They're the Lewis and Irene hummingbird and hibiscus.
Yes.
They look great in that.
They would. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm liking how inspired everybody is today. That's great.
Yeah, I love it when somebody feels the same way about something I do, because I'm like, this is brilliant. I remember the first time I did it, I think I made about 4 quilts using the same method.
Viv is saying, can I ask if I wanted to make a quilt, Jane, how many blocks of 5 I would need?
Depends on the size. That's a bit, sorry to sound, what's the word? I'm just going to have to blow my nose, so don't go
that's
to me in a
fine.
minute.
It's a bit like a quilt and how big are you starting?
Yeah, it's a bit
square,
like
isn't it?
how long is a piece of string, because it depends on the size of your finished quilt.
Yeah.
It will depend on the size of your blocks.
Yeah.
But if you have rows of 5, like 12-inch blocks,
Yeah.
and you did 5 rows of 5, you would have a 60-inch square quilt.
Mhm.
So you work from that. It's a case of multiplying the size of your block, or dividing the size of your block into your finished size quilt, so that you can then work out how many blocks you need. That sounded a bit long-winded,
no,
but
it's fine. It makes sense. It really
if you want to have a 72-inch by 60-inch quilt, you're going to need it 5 by 6 blocks. So you're going to need 5 rows of 6 blocks. You sort of need to start with how big you want it to be finished, to then decide how many blocks you need to make. Because obviously, if you wanted to make more, make it bigger.
Yeah.
You could make your block bigger.
Yeah.
The one that I've done behind me, as I say, was dictated to me by the size of the piece of the Sylvia fabric. I could have, with fat quarters, you can make, you know, 19.5-inch square is the biggest you can go, really, because we cut our fat quarters at 20 by 20, but by the time you strained it, you get a 19.5-inch square definitely out of it. So that's the biggest your block will be. There's nothing to stop you using metres of fabric and making huge blocks. Can you imagine?
That'd be amazing. Vicky has confirmed that there are several things clunking in her brain already, and has just added a little PS there to say, how very dare you say clunking. I'll be honest, Vicky, Jane and I would go for a clunk in our brains at the moment. It's more of a clatter, clatter, bang, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like... My brain, do you remember, I don't know, you wouldn't remember, Gemma, you're too young, but the Beano used to have, or the Dandy, I can't remember which one it was now, they used to have the numbskulls, And they were little people that lived inside a human's brain.
Amazing.
And they were all responsible for different areas of the head.
Oh, right.
And my little numbskulls, they're all wrapped in cotton wool and bouncing around each other at the moment, like completely I don't know what's going on. Half of them are asleep.
Oh, dear. Bless you.
The one in charge of my nose has just put corks in it. It's like...
This will pass. It will pass.
Well, of course it will, because it doesn't last forever, does it?
My mother logged on and she said, "Hello, lovely Jane."
Oh, bless you.
Hi, Mom.
I am sending you the biggest hugs, and I'm hoping everything gets sorted out for you.
It's not a good time, my poor Mum. I'll see you later, Mum. I'll be back in the hospital again later. Yeah, Vicky says, Jane, the table runner will be red, black and gold.
Nice.
Lisa fabrics with metallic. My mum has black and red and gold abstract paintings with overlapping squares and rectangles. So it would work really nicely.
It would, yeah.
Replicate that in fabric form using Lisa's fabrics. It's a great idea.
Brilliant. Oh, God, I've gone really wobbly there. That's not a very accurate seam allowance.
Sue and Vicky both missed out on that fabric they wanted. In Sue's case, it was because the dog wanted to go out.
Dear.
Oh, bless you.
I'm just going to go
You've got to
back
love
over
them,
this
though.
seam.
That's how it is.
Do a little bit of unpicking because that's gone very wobbly seam.
You're just stitching your straight line and you'll unpick the bit that was
Yeah.
wobbly. Yeah, fair enough.
Just making sure that I go past the bit so that sort of oversews it and it won't. You see what I've done? I'm just going to unpick this bit.
Deb, the instructions are there in digital form. I can see Deb saying she can't see the digital. If you go back into Workshop Wednesday or just refresh the page that you're on, they are there. So as you go down the page, you've got our usual sewing machines, etc. at the top. You've got 2 books by Tilly Rose, and they're immediately after the 2 books by Tilly Rose and just before the quilt kits. They are there.
That's wobbly there as well. Suddenly have an inability to sew straight.
Yeah, Deb's loving this. She thinks it's fabulous.
Thank you.
Oh, you know, it is.
It's not my design, it's the one that I was taught, and I really don't know where it originated from.
It's a technique, isn't it, at the end
But
of the day? You can do all sorts with it.
you can do all sorts with it.
Absolutely.
It's fabulous.
Fabulous.
It sort of frees your creativity a little bit, particularly when you're a beginner, because I think as a beginner you get a little bit hung up on the accurate seam and you must cut this and this needs to be there here and this needs to be there.
And your squares have got to be perfectly square. And
yeah,
all of that.
I think it gives you that little bit of freedom to play with colour as well, because you'll be surprised at how well colours that you wouldn't think would go well next to each other work when you put a little bit of a common colour or an accent colour or a contrast colour in between them. Right, so get this last corner on and then we'll just talk about the quilt as you go.
Do you need all these pieces moving out your way, Jane?
Yes, I will, please. Thank you.
Oh, got my face in front of the camera then. How fabulous.
This is a beautiful face, Gemma.
Quite blurry as well though, Jane. It was right in there. Sorry everybody if you saw a really good close-up of my nose or whatever.
Better than my Rudolph snozzle this morning.
Yeah, quite. Don't want your schnoz today.
No, definitely not.
Are you going to be needing to do any more pressing?
No, I don't think so.
No,
And we
so I
can
can
always
just
press
move
on top
these
if we need to.
Onto here, out of the way. So you've got your whole cutting mat to work with.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Right, so you will make all of your blocks. They will all look like this. Now at this point, you can look at your block. I started off with a 14.5-inch square. I think I would probably trim that down now to 14.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do that now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quilt it first and then trim it, because sometimes when you quilt it, it can pull it in as well.
Yeah.
Now, I chose to keep all of my squares in the same orientation when I put them together. But if you want to, you can mix and match them, making different designs. So you can think about that when you've actually finished quilting them and what have you. Now, if
there might be people here who don't know what quilt as you go means.
Yeah.
What's it mean then?
What it is it's a way of quilting your quilt in blocks, basically, and then joining the blocks together. I'm going to show you the back of this quilt. Now, in my head, when I was creating this, I was making the back of my blocks, I was using different fabric, and I was going to do it alternately. But I didn't pay attention.
Do as I say not to do, is it, Jane?
And when I actually came to look at my blocks, I'd put the backing of one of the fabrics on the wrong one. So you will see on mine, it doesn't go alternate.
No.
Two of them are the same together.
Okay.
But you can use different fabric on the back. And again, this is a lovely way of using up scrap bits left over from other projects, because you only need to have a bit of fabric that's slightly bigger than your block to start with, and a piece of wadding, obviously. And we're going to layer that up. Now, I've just got calico for this project just because, you know, it is demonstration, and you can use calico, because if that's all you're going to use, you know, if it's going on a table, you don't necessarily need anything. I'm going to be wafting stuff. And I'm just going to cut my piece of calico just.
You grab one of these Boltens, Jane, and weigh down the fabric.
That's a good
There we
idea.
are. Then everyone can just see what Natasha's been shenanigating.
I'm just going to make my square of calico just a couple of inches bigger than my block, just because we're going to trim it right back. It's not one block isn't going to pull in too much, so I'm just cutting this square of calico at 16, and I'm going to make 2 squares at 16. Now, ideally,
so you want this a fair bit bigger than your block then?
Yeah, about. If you just think your block size 14 and a half, 2 inches all the way around, so 16 is fine. Ideally, you would have pressed this calico and you won't have any wrinkles in it, but for time and blah, blah, blah.
I can give it a little press.
And you want your pieces of wadding to be approximately the same size. I'm not going to worry about the fact that that's not straight on the edge, because we're going to trim it all back anyway. So again, it's organic. As long as it's bigger.
It's probably had the most ineffective press in the world, Jane, because it was the quick doings.
That's okay. It's just demonstration.
Does this one do anything?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, just to, it's got a bit of a wrinkle in it. This is what happens with calico, it comes on the roll quite wrinkly. And you usually find when you press it, it's actually bigger than the piece that you've ordered. I'm doing the same, so I want my calico and my wadding to be the same size. I'm using, I think this was a scrap of 50-50 bamboo. It was just some scrap of wadding that I had.
I love the 50-50.
I used spray adhesive on mine to hold my layers together.
Which you've forgotten.
Excuse me, which
And
I haven't brought them with
just
me.
as well, because if you're spraying spray adhesive around at the moment, you and I had both, well, you especially,
Yeah,
would be coughing.
it would set me off completely. So these pieces are small enough. Spray adhesive will hold them. Layer up your quilt, your backing, your wadding, and then your block. Now, you can have really good fun with your quilting on this. You could just do an overall filigree pattern, just hold it. You could just do in the ditch, which is what I did on mine, just went around the shapes and held them together. You can quilt whatever. You could go around the shapes, and then you could have a little practice with your free motion in your shape spaces.
Lovely.
You've got lots of options there. For the purpose of speed, I am going to just do a meander across the top of these blocks, just so that we can get them quilted, because I just want to get the quilting done just so that I can then show you the process of doing the actual joining of the quilt as you go, which gives you your binding at the same time. I'm just going to change the foot over to the open foot darning foot on here.
Deb's found the pattern. You're very welcome, Deb. If ever you're struggling to find something that I've said is in a collection, please just refresh the page. Sometimes it can appear, sometimes it's just further down the page. So clicking view all is important as well, because it will only show you the first few products otherwise.
I am going to do a very loose meander across this just to hold the 3 layers together. As I say, you'll have all the time to have a really good play, and it is a really good opportunity to just get that little piece of thread.
Vicky is so excited. This is hilarious. She's saying this presumably means you can use up all your wadding offcuts as well.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
It does.
How many times you back a quilt and then have fabulous offcuts?
Yeah, you know those
wadding?
bits that are from round the edge, particularly if you send it off to be quilted, because you have to have it bigger. You quite often get like an 18-inch strip at the end of one of them. Right. So we're just going to give this a very broad meander. Again, this is a great way of practicing your free motion, because it's a small area you're working with, so it gives you a good opportunity.
There's a fair few saying they're going to be using Christmas fabrics and making Christmas table runners. Jane, I mean, these blocks that you're making, you know, here, they'd be lovely as cushions.
Wouldn't they?
You know, this is such a multi-purpose,
Yeah.
isn't it?
You know, you could make one big, obviously, if you were going to do that, you wouldn't necessarily want to make lots, would you? You might just want to make one. You might have scraps of fabric that you think, actually, I could trim these down and make them like a jigsaw, just to make one block for a cushion front.
So long as they all fit together to make the square. Like Vicky said earlier, you know, if you do it with squares or rectangles, that would be really easy to do.
Yeah.
Jim, we talked a little bit last week, didn't we, about meandering
Yeah.
and free motion. So if anyone did miss that, that was the Keeping Tom patchwork demo.
We have done quite in-depth, haven't we, about free motion quilting. When we did the shadow box quilt,
Yeah.
we looked at free motion quilting quite intensely on that one.
I think the main thing to remember is if you're not moving that panel of fabric, it's going nowhere.
No.
The machine's not going to advance it. That's the thing I did. I thought, why have I got lots of tiny stitches and it hasn't really gone anywhere? And it's just because I wasn't being brave enough with how much I was moving that fabric.
Yeah.
Because it goes against the grain of it, doesn't it? You don't yank your fabric through when you're sewing.
No. In fact, if anything, you're taught when you're doing patchwork that you don't pull it, because I think,
take the fabric.
yeah, let the feed dogs work it.
Correct. And so for me, it went completely against the grain to be moving my fabric around, because I've always been taught, you know, let the machine take the fabric, let the feed dogs do the work. So,
Yeah.
Jane, that looks lovely.
That's just enough to hold it together. As I say, you can be, you know, with mine, I just wanted to show off the shape, so I just quilted in the ditch or just on the side of the ditch around each shape, and that's perfectly adequate. Quilting just holds the 3 layers together. Sometimes on your pack of wadding, it will tell you the minimum space of. Dear, I'm going off thread through there.
That's all right.
The minimum amount of space between, you know, like 4-inch square or
We do put
whatever.
that information on the website. So if you've bought, say, Selena 279, for example, which is our 80/20 wadding, and you go to the product pages on our website, then it will say in there that you've got a specific space between that you need to be stitching. So, you know, the recommended distance between seams of a maximum of 20 centimetres on that one, for example.
Yeah.
But then there are others where you're advised to make sure it's closer together.
Yes. It depends on the wadding, the type of wadding it is. And it's really just so that the wadding doesn't, what they call pile in between the fabrics, which is where it sort of rushes up and clogs together. So, but if you just quilted in the ditch around the shapes, that would be plenty enough.
If that information's available to us, we put it on the website. We do make sure we do it where we can. Leslie says, this is a fantastic demo, Jane, especially the way you brought the seven different fabrics to the top to make 7 different combinations. So simple. Can't wait to try it. So that's good to hear, isn't it?
It is. It's lovely because obviously I get quite enthusiastic about what I'm doing.
Yeah, of course.
I'm extremely lucky to be able to do what I do. I know this. And if I can transfer that enthusiasm across, which obviously I have done today, I love it because I want you to enjoy it as much as I do and find as much creativity from it.
Absolutely. Debbie says, this is so exciting. Thank you, Jane.
Well, you're so welcome.
It's just nice to share something with people who have the same enthusiasm you do, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So the beauty of Quilt As You Go is you're only working with one block at a time. So you haven't got to wrangle a whole quilt and wear it up over your head and round your shoulders.
Well, this is what I was thinking as well, because again, when I first started quilting, and it really stressed me out having to roll a quilt and hope it would fit in the throat area of the machine. And
yeah.
This is great for that.
It's one of the nicest things about Quilt As You Go. Now I'm going to trim this. That's the shortest part, so I'm going to trim quite a bit off there, but it'll become up as a 14-inch square, hopefully. If it doesn't, if it's smaller, it's fine. Nobody needs to know. We'll keep it amongst ourselves. I've got that straight edge now. So I've got a straight edge that I can line up on my board. I only want to trim off the minimum really, but obviously you can see as I'm trimming this, some edges are quite a lot trimmed off. But as I said, I would do this after you have quilted it because it does pull it in slightly. And we have got, it's a 14-inch square, give or take a millimetre, which doesn't work with inches, but there we go. And we'll cut the other one to the same size if we can. As I said, once you've made all of your blocks, just have a look at them, decide which one is the smaller of them, and use that as your guide to the size of your blocks, really.
This is the bit that gives everyone, the ick, isn't it? It gives them a kind of like, oh no.
Yeah, because you feel like you're trimming off loads, but as I said before...
But watching you do it makes me feel better, Jane.
It's, nobody but you knew what size you started with.
Quite.
Anybody, if you're making this for somebody, the person that you give it to will just be delighted you've made them a quilt.
Yeah, of course.
That's going to come up a little bit shorter, but we'll...
In the seam allowance?
Yeah, we can use that bit of wadding in the seam allowance. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Keep telling yourself it'll be fine. Right. So, you'll have made all of your blocks. You'll have quilted them. You'll have trimmed them. They'll all be the same size.
Why, of course, Jane. Why would they not be,
absolutely.
Jane?
You can play at this point, you can play with your blocks. So if you wanted to move them around, get different effects going on,
Different
orientations. Maybe avoid putting the same fabrics against each other, because we spent a lot of time, didn't we, working out the pattern and making sure that we got different ones, different layers. So you are going to need a 1-inch strip and a strip that is 1 7/8 of an inch.
Okay.
You're going to press the 1 7/8 strip in half along the length, wrong sides together.
Okay.
Obviously with a plain fabric it's quite difficult to tell. You want these strips to be the same length as your width of your squares. So because we cut 14-inch blocks in the end, we're going to cut these strips to 14 inches. So I'm placing the 14-inch mark across there, lining one of my horizontal lines up with my ruler on my fabric, and then trim that there. Should be the same width as my block. Yes, it is. And I'm going to do the same with my 1-inch sashing strip. There we go. If you've got 7 blocks, you're going to need 6 of these. With my 5, I just needed 4. You are now going to pin your 1-inch sashing strip to the front of your quilt. Your block. Just putting those pins in for now, and then I'm going to turn the block over and I'm going to pin my folded strip with the cut edges against the cut edge of my block, and I'm going to pin that to the back of the quilt.
Okay.
And pin that in place too. Now obviously if you're going to pin that on, you don't need that pin from the front. It's just to hold it while you flip the block over. If you're very clever or careful, you can pin all 3 layers at once. But you might find it in the first instance just to pin that first one on and then pin the second one afterwards. So you've got your block with your 1-inch strip at the front.
Okay.
And your folded inch strip at the back,
Yeah.
all those raw edges. So you've basically got 6 layers there. So I'm going to change my foot for my walking foot.
Okay.
Natasha's machine will probably take all of these 6 layers, you know, quite happily.
Yeah, it's a semi-industrial, mini-industrial, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
but your domestic machine will definitely need to have the walking foot on. It will not like trying to sew through so many layers. And as we've said before, walking foot is called a walking foot because it doesn't like to go fast.
no, quite. I'm chuckling to myself, Jane, because I'm not sure as I've ever heard this description, ever, to be honest. But Deb says, when I'm free motion quilting, I imagine I'm giving Elvis a back massage.
Ooh. And Mum can relate to that, Debbie.
Yeah, Ginny's added, quilt me tender.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love our viewers. They've always got a pun.
Absolutely. Auntie Lizzie says, I love your choice of fabrics, Jane. This is going to be a stunner. Totally is.
Right, so
Totally is.
we're going to sew down here now.
Overhead.
Sorry.
There we are.
And sew down here now 1/4 inch.
Okay.
Okay. Taking our time, nice and steady, because as I said, sometimes.
Oh, Karen Hughes says, I think you've ticked all the boxes today, Jane. She really has. She never fails to inspire us.
She's just coming in now and flinging bits of fabric at you.
I know. I'm just, yeah. You won't see me on the wide shot at the end of the show because it'll just be a big pile
You'll just
of
be
fabric.
underneath all the fabric.
And I'll be somewhere behind it like a little hobbit.
So we've gone through that strip at the back, strip at the front.
Yep.
We're going to press that out of the way so it's flat. Make sure this one's still towards your block.
Okay.
So we're not pressing that one yet.
I
We're leaving
feel
that
such a
flat.
fool, Jane. Do you know why?
Why?
Because I was like, she's got these sashing strips going in. Where's the wadding?
Yeah.
And that bit in the middle. Honestly, I'll admit that to all of you because I know no one will judge. They'll just chuckle to themselves and think, yeah, all right. Once upon a time, I probably thought the same. I was thinking, they abut each other, don't they?
You're going to see this now.
Jane.
So this sashing strip here now, we've pressed it away from the block. This one's still facing inwards. Pressed it away from the block. We're going to put the block right sides together with that strip. I would recommend that you turn it over so that you can see.
Yeah.
You're going to pin that now.
What a nana. Genuinely, I'm thinking, when's she going to get a little bit of wadding? Strip of wadding. She doesn't need one.
You don't need a
Doesn't
strip
need
of wadding.
one. The two blocks are going to sit right up against each other. What a plonker. Didn't think of that, did I?
No, it's one of those things, isn't it? It's like,
When you know, you know,
right,
don't you?
yeah.
Oh, it's right. Vicky was with me as well. Now, Vicky's got one of the most analytical brains I've ever met, so I don't feel quite so daft.
No, it happens to us all. It's a bit like that flying geese method. When you get to that one that looks like the two hearts and you're like, how's that going to be flying geese?
What's she getting me to do? Oh, it's very pretty, but I don't see where she's going with this.
So now, 1/4 inch seam.
Oh, well, Vicky and I are going to be all over this now. Oh, Sue Langford was with me as well. There we are.
Yep.
Lynn says, thank you, Jane and Gemma, for another wonderful tutorial. You're very welcome. Clearly, it still continues because I'm still having light bulb moments on air with the rest of you. Auntie Lizzie says, brilliantly detailed demo as always, Jane.
Thank
Just
you.
fine, you know.
And hopefully the instructions mirror that. We try and
Yeah.
make the instructions as clear and as step by step as we can. So we've done a 1/4 inch seam down here.
Yep.
When I open these out,
Look at that.
that should line up like so. This strip then comes across there
Of course it does.
and covers up that line of stitching. Now if you're very careful, you can sew this down obviously by hand like you would your binding,
Yeah.
which is rather nice to do.
Yeah.
Pin that across like so.
Oh. You get stuff done so much quicker this way, Jane.
Well, and it's also, like I said, you know, some of us have got quite a small domestic machine.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get a quilt under there. It's possible, but, you know, it causes backache, arm ache, leg ache, headache.
All the aches.
All the aches because it's quite frustrating and you start off all very neatly folded and rolled and by the time you've got to the end of the quilt you're wearing it on your head.
Yeah.
So if you want to do it by machine, obviously make sure your pins are out of the way. You'll take it back to the front now and you will very carefully...
But you're going to want a matching thread, I'm going to say. Now, Jane's
Yes.
upset herself now because her
I'm going to
thread
use my
is
cream,
not a matching thread.
but you need to see it.
Yeah.
So you would put in your bobbin necessarily, you'd put your bobbin
Yes.
thread the same to match your...
I was just thinking
binding
that,
strip.
'cause you don't want it showing. But Jane does want hers showing? Showing's not showing, Jane.
Yeah.
She wants it showing so she can show you.
So I am just very carefully sewing in the ditch against the edge. Now if this is giving you conniptions and you're thinking about the pins, you can always, as you get up to the pins, just go underneath, pull your pin out. But I have to say with a walking foot, you should be all right sewing over your pins. But, you know, be careful.
Vicky now feels like she owes her walking foot an apology. I'm going to say she's been making it a running foot. Yeah.
You'll
Is
break
that right,
it.
Vic? Is that what you've been up to?
You'll break it. I'm sorry, but you will.
Yeah, just don't do that.
And you can see now it's not the neatest, but because we've rushed it and I come and done there. But that sews your strip down.
Wow, there it is.
So it's lovely and neat and a really quick way of quilting your blocks together.
You nearly walked straight in front of the camera then, Tash. If I'd have pressed that button a moment it was right in front of it. I was just literally about to press it. Natasha's been bringing us all the fabrics.
You can see
She has.
Gemma's like drowning in them.
Well, the thing is, I've been going through, there are lots that I want to make Christmas pyjamas out of. I'm not going to lie. Really useful amounts. SJ's busily loading as we speak. I don't know how much of this you can hear my voice is going on.
Project.
I know, Mariella Fostrop and I are one. Jane, that is beautiful.
Thank you.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I just love the difference when you switch up the fabrics. It's fab.
Yeah.
I know, it looks fabulous. Because it is, well, such a contrast, isn't it?
Well,
with
we can
what we've
just
got here.
hang it next to it.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yes. That.
We made the block bigger
Yeah.
because we got more fabrics, so we wanted to have nice big chunks of the fabric. We could do that because we had fat quarters.
Yeah.
This one was limited to a degree by the size of the piece of fabric that we had there. But this is such a lovely improvisational, that's not the word,
That's all right.
improvised technique that you can really have fun with.
Yeah.
You can really have fun with it. You don't have to put the sashing strips in between. You can just sew the fabrics back together without the sashing strip. But that sashing strip takes up that seam allowance basically.
It does.
So it keeps your blocks pretty much the same size as you started with.
Amazing.
But you'll get a lovely combination of different blocks using the same fabrics. All the blocks will be the same but different. And you can have fun. You can have fun with it because you're making the shapes at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So, yeah.
Jane, I'm going to let you wave some fabric round to everybody
Okay.
so they can quickly see these lovely Boltens. Something I do think I need to mention as well is the kits from today. We have the Sylvia option, which should be $29.99, and we have
That's
put
this
that
one.
out. That's this one. We have put that out today on a crazy mega deal. It's a one-day only special, and it really is. It will be gone.
You get that
So
piece of
do make sure you
beautiful
get it.
Tilly Rose fabric.
Yep. And your fat quarters.
Full
and
fat quarters
your
and then a half metre.
That one should be $29.99. Just today, it's at $24.99.
Nice.
Little deal. And then the Tilda we have at $34.99.
Because you've got 7 fat quarters of Tilda in there with your half metre of Tilda solid. So the solid is Tilda as
Yeah.
well.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful kits, but do make the most of them while they exist.
I think we're limited number on these kits, aren't we, Gemma,
Yes.
because of the fabrics, because they've been very popular.
Yes, yes.
Popular.
For sure.
So,
The bolt ends, Jane.
bolt ends, boom, 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 boom.
Like Natasha
at this,
says,
says-
some of these fantastic for your Christmas pyjamas, Christmas sacks.
2.4
People have been mentioning
metres.
today's make, Jane. Some of these would be fabulous.
Yes, they
Oh,
would.
look, there's doggies all over this one.
Right way up.
Clearly,
Yappy
the
dogs.
need
Look
little-
at that. You can make
little
little.
Christmas makes.
You could make your doggy a little dog coat with it,
You could, or you could make
and a
a little
stocking
mat
to match.
using today's technique.
Yep,
Or a little quilt
absolutely.
using today's
Yep.
technique. Mabel loves
Gorgeous.
a quilt. I think we've
She
all
does.
seen on social media a few days ago her and her Liberty quilt. She loves a quilt.
She does. 2.4 metres of that one.
Beautiful.
There's a rather gorgeous stripe here. This is Pool Party Loose Stripe, 1.75. You know I love a stripe. All the binding you can make with that.
I'm a little bit
Just like,
miffed.
"Whoa."
You and I were going to divvy that up between us, and now it's gone as a
Yeah.
bolt end.
She's found us out, Gemma. We've been
grimacing quite
squirreling
a
this
bit.
fabric away. Going, we'll just, work that one out between
Vicky's
us.
saying she's been taking her walking foot for a gentle jog. Not anymore, you're not.
No, you will
Stop
break
it.
it. I'm
Yeah.
not being funny, but it's called a walking foot because it walks, and if you
Yeah.
if you go too fast on it, you're going to damage the mechanism inside, and it will fall apart.
Yeah, don't do that.
They're not.
Don't do that.
They are a consumable part.
Take it back, don't put it down. Take it back. Take it back, don't put
Oh,
Can
Natasha!
we just bear in mind these are not being printed
I
again?
know, that's the point.
That's it. When these are gone, they are gone.
Ooh.
Summer Palace is not being printed again.
I know, that's why I've just said take it back.
I'm not showing you this one.
You want that one as well,
I
don't
want this
you?
one. This is just gorgeous.
That's
this is
lovely.
Hearts turquoise. 2.4 metres of that. Just lovely. Bag linings,
Fabulous.
backs of quilts,
I'm
sashing.
just going to take it off Jane before she squirrels it away because she wants
Some
it.
pool party.
Yes.
This is fun.
Couple of pool parties.
This one is the scatter turquoise, and then the gorgeous parrots. I love this one.
We
I
love a
have
parrot,
got
don't
some
we?
of this, yeah. It's 2.4 metres of that one, 3 metres of the scatter.
Now, very important to mention with that collection as well is the spot on, because we have the blue on yellow, we have the cyan on white, and we have the turquoise on lime. Those are perfect matches to go in with the pool party collection. We will purchase those together for a make.
Just saying,
That as well. Yeah.
you bought this,
Yeah.
did your crazy patchwork cutting, did that for your sashing.
Look great, wouldn't it?
Woo-hoo-hoo. Lovely.
Would look great.
Cut
But
it
yeah,
that
these
way.
fabrics all complement each other. They were all purchased to make the pool party quilt and bag. So
Yes,
you can't go wrong. You buy those ones, you can't go wrong.
they're all from the same collection. The colours all go.
Yep, the spot on were the ones they put together for this collection. Which
Beautiful.
is very important. Because not everyone knows, Jane. We
No.
make assumptions, and to assume is not right.
No?
We must not assume.
Well, we all know what it makes.
Natasha did mention earlier the ombre galaxies. They are the most beautiful metallics ever. If by some miracle these haven't already all disappeared, I mean SJ's loading them. Okay, so some of them might not be up yet, so just keep an eye out. But Jane and I will be thieving /
Gently weeping.
yeah, we'll be squirreling them away. You can see with these, they've got the most beautiful ombre finish to the base cloth, and then you've got these fabulous, I'm going to say splodges, Jane, because it is. It's just like you flicked paint across.
Yes, it is.
But then the same with the metallic as well, and that metallic is glorious. That's a 3 metre, 20 centimetre piece. It's a good size for backing
That's
a
a
quilt.
nice chunk.
Or, you know, popping in your stash. Really fabulous piece. Jane,
We've got
that was the
avocado.
That was the one that went with the Lisa Chandler. I'm going to say everyone was grimacing and moaning that had gone already.
Oh
So
dear.
we're going to say...
We've
probably
got the graphite here,
Yeah.
which is black in a way.
Let's compare actually. So we've got graphite versus putty. If anyone's wondering, well, what's the difference? You can see the putty
Putty
has
is-
a definite more beige tone
Yes.
and is lighter.
Yeah. This is definitely black and more of a bluey black rather than a
It's
grey
got that
black.
sort of, yeah, real...
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. And we've got some more of, this is lime green, which goes, look at the ombre on that, that goes into a real lovely, zesty,
It's fresh, isn't it?
it's gorgeous,
Really fresh.
really gorgeous. We've got popsicle, which is a lovely candy pink. And we've got burgundy, which is a lovely rich fuchsia pink. And then we've got a little bit, there's only 1.6 of this one, and this is the plum, which is a lovely rich
It's gone.
purple. It's gone. It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
It's gone.
We've got lagoon, which is gorgeous. This lagoon, I love lagoon, is like an
Yeah.
aqua
Now,
green.
SJ, if you've not loaded this one yet, can you refrain, please?
Goes beautifully in Gemma's
Clearly,
house.
that one would go beautifully in my house. No!
And
Oh,
we have
dear.
got hot pink. Hot pink. Hot pink is more of a, I'm trying to think of the word, and I can't think of the word, raspberry colour really.
It's got a lovely corally touch
Yes.
in the middle as well, hasn't
Yeah.
it? Beautiful.
And then there is a piece of coral.
Just keep
Which is sort
refreshing
of-
our website if you were browsing earlier, because I'm pulling these up the page.
Peachy orange colour, the coral. Really pretty. Lovely,
lagoon's
soft,
gone.
gentle.
Whoever it was that got the lagoon, I'm pleased for you, she says, through very gritted
She's coming
teeth.
round to arm wrestle you
Yeah.
later.
We have already sold out on the lagoon, the plum, also the lime green, the graphite, the avocado. You know what you're seeing here. This is an opportunity to be missed, is it?
Fabulous.
yes.
You've done well then to get these
You've
because
done
they
really
are
well.
just delicious. Delicious, these ombres. They will make beautiful quilt backings, but equally work within your quilt. You can have really good fun with ombres.
Well, coming up for you as well will be, like Natasha mentioned a moment ago, some Lisa Chandler. Now, the Lisa Chandler, I can't believe these are going. Can't believe it, Jane. Can't believe it.
No.
Don't believe it. These are the wicker fabrics. So if you bought the Summer Palace fabrics, we've all got a little bit somewhere squirreled away if we're a fan of anything, you know, from that there Southeast Asia, which I am a massive fan of anything Japanese or, yeah, oof,
Love it.
lovely. These wickers are just fantastic with those fabrics. I mean, they deserve their own place anyway, Jane,
I think they do.
but they are stunning.
They are lovely.
Look at those. The quality of Lisa fabrics. If you've not owned any before and you're looking at these thinking, oh yeah, okay, that wicker's really nice. I can do that. I've got something that will work with it. The quality is stunning.
It's a beautiful base cloth. It's a rich, closely woven base cloth. It's very good quality. There is a level of shading within the print of Lisa's fabrics that goes beyond. This is not a flat cream.
It is not.
It's got shading in it. It gives a depth to the wicker.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you've got this beautiful metallic, which isn't a flat metallic. It's got a shimmer to it. It is just, we can never, you know, say enough about Lisa's fabric. It is just sublime. It's gorgeous.
I mean, hopefully you can see within the colours as well, the shading just makes it look like there are shadows. So it does give that 3D element. The wicker blue, we have 1.85. The wicker red, this one here, it's just fabulous, isn't it? We've got 2.5 metres. The black is a little piece. We've got 1.2. These are just wonderful.
They are lovely.
Ah.
And then this is the black and cream, I think it is, isn't it? This
so
is
that
black
is
and
your
grey.
Ivory grey. So yeah, black
Yeah.
grey, ivory grey is 2.3 metres. We then, just to continue that
Excuse me.
from that part of the world, got some yukata geometrics.
This is Seven Berries fabric.
Yeah, it is. It is. But Seven Berry, again, Japanese fabric. You can't get better than Japanese fabric. I
No,
don't
you
think,
can't.
Jane. You just
This
can't.
base cloth is almost linen-like in its feel and
Super
texture.
stable, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you want to quilt, these fabrics are just amazing to work with because you cut and you get beautiful straight lines, no
Yeah.
fraying, gorgeous. Oh, not another piece of wicker. Oh, my heart aches.
Last one.
Wicker cream, 2.25.
2.25. We're going to go
Put that
back
one
in
up
that
there.
warehouse and
I
it's going to
know,
be
it's
like
gonna
empty.
be like the Marie Celeste.
It's going to be all empty shelves and we'll be like, oh.
There'll be echoey sounds everywhere. This one here is geometric circles in the garnet red. You've got 2.40 meters on that one. You've then got geometric starburst. Oh, I want this one, Jane.
It's gorgeous, that is. It's so rich.
1.60 meters. That, if anyone wants to buy me something for Christmas, yes please. Ridiculous, isn't it?
This guy watching.
He won't be watching. He
He's
won't be
working.
watching. Look at
He's
that
working.
though. That is
Yeah.
just perfection. These two here are the Yukata Metallic Flower in garnet and black. You've got 1.5 of the black and 2.25 of the garnet. Those, might I say, however, all work fabulously together.
I'm just looking at those fabrics and I'm looking at the make that Natasha made the other day
Oh yes.
with the wristlet. Ooh, and the lovely little pocket, and I'm just thinking, how gorgeous would they look with that frame?
They would. That's really helpful, Jane. I mean,
Gorgeous.
it's helpful to those at home, but why couldn't you tell us that a few days ago? Hey, look at the staff these days.
Oh, I know.
We also have, as Natasha mentioned earlier, for your Christmas pyjamas, your Christmas makes in general, this is Macawa Christmas Icons. I love this. This is the London collection Christmas icons. You have everything you would expect in London at Christmas. You've got the most beautiful wreaths on doors and the trees. You've got presents. There has to be, doesn't there, with any Christmas collection, there has to be a Christmas tree strapped to something. And on this one, it's strapped to a London cab. Presents strapped to that one.
And then you've got the guards with their presents.
They've got their presents. You've got, I'm assuming this one's in Hamleys.
Yeah, it's got to be the Hamleys bear.
You've got robins, you've got reindeer, you've got letterboxes, you've got telephone boxes, you've got double-decker buses that says Merry Christmas on the side. What a lovely, lovely fabric. Absolutely beautiful. And in between, holly, trees, baubles, there's just absolutely everything you could want on here. Lovely fabric to work with.
Yeah. There's
really
a
nice
metallic
scale
element going on here as well, and there's little gold metallic snowflakes floating around.
And little tiny metallic details absolutely everywhere, like the pillars here. Even on the taxi, you've got little metallic elements that just gives it that little bit of shimmer and that little bit of depth and kind of 3D element, isn't there, when you put some metallic on?
To it.
Because it gives movement. 3 meters 20 of your Christmas icons.
That'd make a nice pair of pyjamas.
Wouldn't it just? Or brilliant backing for your Christmas quilt.
Absolutely.
In fact, at 3 meters 20, depending on the size of it, you might have a little bit left to use in your blocks on the front. Eh?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I'm working on the assumption that Natasha will come bursting through the door with some more fabric in a minute. However, I'm going to call time and say it's 11 minutes past 12.
I can't believe that.
It has been a
mammoth session.
Really busy session. You've learnt lots of things, I'm sure. I know there's been a lot of inspiration going on, and it's really nice of you to say so, because poor Jane would have quite happily stayed in bed today. But she wanted to bring this runner to you because you've been asking about it.
Yep.
You know, you've seen it on display, you've been asking us for the last couple of weeks, and we've done it.
Yep.
If you do want to make the most of that crazy mega deal we are doing on this particular bundle that makes the one that's been on display, you need to grab that today. We've got £5 off it. Okay, that I can't tell you how much that makes me want to cry, because the margins are rubbish. It's not the best business sense, but we are moving, and we do want to reward you and say thank you for your support as well. So if you want to make the most of that, grab it today. We have so much more to add to the website, I'm sure.
I was going to say, keep your eye on the website, because there'll be lots of...
Yeah.
Natasha is on a mission.
Yes.
She doesn't want to move these bolts across the warehouses.
If you see something you love and you think, oh, but hang on, I need to wait because there might be something else, and don't worry, you can check out the item that you've seen, especially if it's a Bolten, that won't hang around. The kit for the Tilly Rose, because it's on a discount. If you're thinking, oh, I'll wait till tomorrow, don't. Grab it today. Anything that's placed order-wise today between, midnight when we were asleep and midnight tonight, that all qualifies as one day. If you've placed more than one order in a day, just pop a note on your order, your subsequent order, to say, please combine my order. And we will do that. Yeah,
we can, from the same day, we can combine all, as many orders as you feel. Yeah. We can't combine orders from different days.
Sure.
Because the system just won't let us.
No.
Just won't let us.
At midnight, everything gets taken off the system and into the format where we start cutting, packing, etc. So we can't combine it. It's just not something we can do. But if you're placing orders between now and midnight, and you've placed something earlier, go for it.
And the thing with these fabrics, these Boltens, are that once they've gone, they've gone. We're not having this fabric again, so...
I can't see anything here that we'll be getting again.
No, unlikely.
No. Part of me's thinking I might order some more Sevenberry, but I might not get away with it. No. If that their boss has anything to do with it, she might be like, no, Gemma, we don't need that.
No, there'll be others. There'll be other beautifulness to come, I'm sure.
There will. Oh, here we go. If it's any comfort, you look like you're rallying at the moment, Jane. Bless you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Hope you feel better soon. Lots of lovely comments.
It'll go. It's just a cold, isn't it? But it just, at the moment, it's in its...
Just makes you feel rotten.
Yeah.
But for now, let's go and get you a nice warm drink.
Yes.
I might
go
pop
to the cafe for some soup.
Yeah, I might pop you in the bed in your room that we've got to lay quilts out on. I might just put you in there and throw a duvet over you for 20 minutes. But I will
snuggle
go
up with
some
Mabel.
soup, I promise. This evening then, Half Meter Heavens. Make sure you keep an eye out for those. They are a last chance saloon as well. We've got the Friday deals coming through this Friday. then we'll all have a good rest.
Yes,
we'll be
and I
back
do
on Monday.
apologise for my sniffing
Oh,
and coughing
shush.
and blowing my nose.
We're not listening to her, are we?
No.
Monday we'll be back. Natasha will be here to see you on Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday next week. Shows Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week.
Yes,
You'll be doing one of them.
One of them, block of the
Which?
month.
Yes. Which one? But it's the last block of the month.
It is.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Nice to have you with us. We will see you again very, very soon. Take care. Lots of love.
Bye-bye.
And bye.